Nnamdi Kanu berates Southeast governors over delay in setting up security outfit. And oil price dips further by 19.66%. We have a story here that says lessons from Supreme Court electoral verdicts. Lessons from Supreme Court's electoral verdicts. Moving on with stories from here, we have El-Rufai appoints Sanusi into Kadipa board. El-Rufai appoints Sanusi into Kadipa board. And then we will challenge Sanusi's illegal detention banishment. That is what the legal team is saying. Will challenge Sanusi's illegal detention and banishment. These stories you'll find all in the Vanguard newspaper. And then finally, I think that's it pretty much. Politics as the plague on the Nigerian judiciary. Rotimi Fasan is the one who wrote that for the Vanguard newspaper. You'll find that story there. Let's quickly get onto the stories now. We have here APC crisis, state chairman divided over Oshomole. And it says here 23-4, 14 against. Oshomole absent as 8 WC members resume and prepare for March 17 NEC meeting. The festering crisis ravaging the ruling All Progressives Congress APC assumed a new dimension yesterday as state chairman became divided over the issue. While 23 of the state chairmen are in support of the national chairman, Comrade Adams Oshomole, and passed a confidence vote on him, 14 chairmen denied him, pretty much said, look, we don't understand this vote of confidence stuff and we're not going to be part of the process. Emmanuel Nduke is here with us. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Nigeria. It is very much expected. There is no case that has had, perhaps, in fact, it's a very bad one if it has every state chairman say, Oshomole go, Oshomole stay. That means there is no rift in APC. So it's expected that some will support him and some will be against him. But whether they support or they don't, or against or not, let us see exactly what will come out of that.
All right, we also have joining us this morning, Obitima JP. He's a journalist and an international affairs analyst. Obitima, good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's get your thoughts here.
Well, APC, I want to say the 23, because that is including FCT. 23 plus 14, 37. Well, the point there is that there's a crack in APC. And it's a very deep one. I think the governors may not really want to show more test. And if I were Oshomole, the best thing is to throw in the towel and allow the party to move forward. Because
well, apparently he has some supporters. So why throw in a towel when you have supporters?
You see, when you have such division, you can't rule a divided party. It's not. It cannot rule a divided party. So they need somebody that will now unite the party, galvanize all the gladiators into, seeing one very thing about the party. As it is now, no matter how you try to cut it, the harm has been done. But because some people appear to be bruised, and if they give up, politics, they will turn around one day to deal with them. So the first is to fight to finish.
Well, I guess it is. What would I call this now? These are troubled times for the APC, and for most of us who have, been reading about this and talking about this, it has been brewing for such a long while now, and so not many people are surprised that it's gotten to this point. Whether this is where Adams Oshomole will throw in the towel or he's going to fight to the finish. I don't know, maybe the finish means the total annihilation of the party eventually. But it is a shame, though, that the ruling party has been unable to comport herself in a manner where she fully is in charge of her affairs. Why this is sad is because, I mean, it was the opposition party. I don't think a lot of people will even be bothered because they will have their eyes on the pie. Unfortunately, APC is the ruling party. So with this internal strife going on, that means their eye is not on the pie. They're not concentrating on what ought to be, and which is Nigeria, and all the evils that bedevils her at the moment. If they continue to have this problem ever since they came into power, and even here, we're continuing to see how this is degenerating into deeper issues within the APC. One begins to question, when do they really get to sit down and understand the issues of governance and comport themselves in such a manner to deliver?
Even in the next 2 years, if they don't do the needful, you see a lot of them will defect to PDP to prepare for the election.
You even know the party that will defect to?
Yes.
It's all right.
Because to prepare for 2023 election.
Making you a clairvoyant.
To prepare for?
To prepare for 2023 election. Because some of them will be dealt with towards the selection of candidates for 2023 election. So it will still cause deeper problem for APC if they don't do the needful now to say, okay, if one finger will lead you to hell, let us cut it off. You know?
Well, that's the story. You like
you want them to defect to PDP, obviously.
They would defect somewhere, definitely. It may not be the PDP, but you know, we did see here in River State quite a number of them who moved to the PDP.
Yeah, but that is the only alternative big party.
Oh no! Just keep watching the space.
Don't worry.
Don't say Uhuru just yet. Big parties can emerge. We saw how the APC emerged at the last minute in 2014.
No, this thing may not quite work this time.
Well, be careful. That's why I said never say never.
Especially after performing poorly.
It's Nigeria that we are in. No, but that is it. People now will decide that this is what APC did wrong, and therefore in composing ours, this is what we're going to avoid. It works all the time. People learn from other people's mistakes and still move on along that path. All right, moving on. Another story in the Vanguard newspaper here. This caption here reads, "Politics as the plague on the Nigerian judiciary." Rotimi Fasan wrote that for the Vanguard. The trouble with the Nigerian judiciary today is not unconnected to the Nigerian politician and the politics of the Nigerian state, either in the manner in which the bench is both deliberately or benignly denied necessary funding to enable its members function as effective members of the realm, or in the routine acculturation of both the bar and the bench into political issues. The judiciary is at a losing end. Directly or indirectly, the fate of the Nigerian judiciary will be determined for good or ill by the Nigerian politician. After so many years, even decades of military rule, the last two generations of Nigerian politicians continue to show themselves up as incapable of appreciating, much less accept the norms of democratic practice. In their bid to subvert their norms, politicians have turned the judiciary into the willing tool of their transgressive conduct. On March 4th, Nigerians woke up to the news that Adams Oshiomhole, the chair of the All Progressives Congress that had been locked in a protracted battle of supremacy with Godwin Obaseki, his erstwhile protege and governor of Edo State, where he was governor until about 4 years ago, had been suspended from office by a federal high court sitting in Abuja. The suspension came out of the blue, even while it was well known that the faction of the APC in Edo State with which Oshiomhole had been contending claimed it had suspended him for anti-party activities. The very plank on which the decision to suspend him was based by the Abuja court. But in another 24 hours after the announcement of Oshiomhole's suspension and his party secretariat was put under lock and key, the suspension order was lifted by a judge of the Federal High Court in Kano, another court of coordinate status as the one in Abuja. In the context of the back and forth between Oshiomhole and Obaseki and their supporters, both the order and the counter order, respectively from Abuja and Kano, appeared procured to many Nigerians who went on to read them from the refracted lens of partisan politics. That the judiciary had to be drawn into settling the unseemly score between two politicians, a godfather and his estranged godson, should be worrisome to Nigerians. It's a point to the fact that the so-called last hope of the common man, an arm of government that should not only act but to be seen as independent, has been corralled into the miry trenches of Nigerian politics where nothing and nobody is without their prize. I know we've spoken about this several times, but I mean, it's important that it takes another focus right here in the papers and right here in the studio. How terrible it will be for Nigeria if we lose every shred of hope and trust in the Nigerian judiciary as established. And for the writer here wrote to me, he says it seems that for now, what goes on is who can buy what and where can you buy it. The judiciary now seems that it's an all-comers affair, especially when he says funding still has to come from the executive, so somehow their independence is strapped in a manner, so to say. Emmanuel?
Well, I think Rotimi is just stating the obvious, but of course he can't say it with certainty, even though we know that such things are happening. If you go to the judiciary, they'll tell you there was no procurement at all of any judgment. And can you now stand and prove that this much money was paid to this person to have given the kind of judgment he did? See, I think I'm always saying it's the politicians that are the problem of this country. Because, you see, the judiciary sees these kind of cases as an avenue to make big money. And if you approach them, they certainly must be willing to. Even if everybody says no, and the money you will make maybe in 2 years and is given to you in a day. If care is not taken, if you are the kind of person attached so much to money, you will accept that. And then render the judgment whichever anyhow you like. Somebody will somewhere stay and say, you have procured that judgment. But there is no clear evidence to that. So let the politicians leave the judiciary alone. And let us see the judiciary do its job. It is then we will know exactly those who are weak-minded, who cannot deliver. But for now, you go to them flooding money and all that. What is in their body? Is it only water? Is blood not there? Is it not humans that will accept money? It's not as if it's a good thing to do so. But the fact remains that once you make the money you will make in 2 years, you make it in 1 day, perhaps you may be tempted to accept. So that is what Rotimi is saying. He's on point, but there is no plain explanation for that.
All right, then, got your thoughts there. Let me get to Obedima.
Well, the corruption in judiciary, I think we start from the roots. There is the selection process. Who today are they selecting to be judges, be magistrates? When you bring in politicians, bring in people that are not competent, yes, they may be professionally qualified, but are not qualified, do not possess the capacity and the moral integrity to sit in judgment over issues concerning humans. Then what will you expect from the judiciary? The competent people, the beautiful ones, are not given access that can at least stand on their own and do the needful. What will you expect? Especially when appointments are also based at that high echelon of our court system, based on nepotism, based on sectionalism. What do we expect? Not even the politicians corrupting the judicial officers, even the blue chip companies, even individuals that are not politicians that have the wherewithal. So the thing is quite deep in the judiciary. And the point is this, and I want to say it clearly, this current administration of APC has even corrupted the judicial officers more than ever. And that's why they cannot even, Buhari cannot open his mouth to say
you know something. Hold on. what I would say here is you might really be correct in what you said, but if you have a trajectory ongoing already, and you do not fix the system itself upon which that has set that course going, what you just will have is that trajectory increasing in its velocity, or it's in dynamics,
in size,
or what size, whatever you want to use to qualify that. So I also think here, as much as the APC is on board, they're supposed to have handled the issues to cause a seizure in that trajectory that we've taken. They haven't done that much.
No.
So obviously what will happen is that an increase in that kind of system.
There's an increase.
But then, the PDP too was on board at one point.
Yes.
And they had that same trajectory going on.
Yes.
They did not fix the issues.
Yes.
So it just continued on the rise.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to paint a picture so we understand that regardless the party, I agree with you.
Yes.
Regardless the party that could have been on board, if they do not fix the real issues on ground that had even set that ball going in the first place, we'll continue to have a very corrupt judicial system.
Very. And one of the solutions is to come up with a progressive constitution and a progressive electoral law.
Right.
When we do this and play the judiciary in the proper place they're supposed to be within our governance system, we will not have it right. Even the process of selection should be properly spent and taken away from the hand of chief executives of states and the national government. Then that's when we begin to kind of investigate maybe sanity
in the system. All right then. We've got that there. Written by Rotimi Fasan. And the suspension, he mentioned how the suspension came out of the blue. And before he could say, suspension, Oshomole got another judgment from a Kano High Court that says, nope, keep him there. I guess when you look at all of that and what has happened in the Supreme Court and every other case, you begin to wonder how terrible this trend portends for Nigeria, for a future Nigeria, if we do nothing now to curtail it. You get that story. It's in the Vanguard newspaper. Politics as a plague on the Nigerian judiciary. And then moving on, another story yet in the Vanguard newspaper. The caption here says, relevance of separation of powers and its application to Nigeria. And this was written by Chief Afe Babalola. Relevance of separation of powers and its application to Nigeria. Under what circumstances cannot George give judgment against the president, members of the National Assembly, the police, the army, without fear or favor, bearing in mind the conditions under which they serve? It is my view that the conditions of service, including salaries, provision of vehicle, maintenance and fuel, personal assistant, hardship allowance, domestic staff, entertainment, utilities, outfit, leave allowance, and newspapers must be attractive and satisfactory. Today, there are judges and magistrates living in rented apartments. There are also those without personal or official cars, as a result of which they are compelled to use public transport. Imagine the case of a chief magistrate who wanted to board public transport. A passenger in the same vehicle told him, "Sorry, my lord, I have paid your transport fare." However, it turned out that the generous passenger was in fact standing trial before him. The embarrassment would have been avoided if the judge had his personal car. Imagine another case where a judge was living in a rented house owned by an absentee landlord. A case comes before him where his absentee landlord was charged with criminal matter. In the course of proceeding, he found out that the person charged was in fact his landlord. He could have been saved the embarrassment if he was living in government quarters. Again, salary-wise, the total emolument of judges in Nigeria, including those of the Supreme Court, is nothing to write home about. As an investigation by Leadership newspaper revealed last year, the salaries of judges have not been increased in 12 years. A report published by The Daily stated as follows: investigation revealed that the remuneration of judges at both the federal and state levels have remained static for 12 years, and that there is no indication that the situation will be addressed soon. A compilation of the annual remunerations of all 1,067 judges in Nigeria revealed the sum of 8.7 billion naira, the least earned by any of the three arms of government. The figure is also a sharp contrast of the 24 billion naira voted in 2019 budget as severance package for members of the outgoing 8th National Assembly members. The last time the judges' salaries and allowances were increased was in 2007, following the enactment of the Certain Political, Public and Judicial Office Holders' Salaries and Allowances, etc. Amendment Act of 2008, which came into force on February 1st, 2007. From that time till date, there has not been an upward review of the earnings of the judges. The source said the CJN's annual basic salary is 3,553,972, or per that monthly 279,000 naira, while other justices of the Supreme Court and President of the Court of Appeal receive 2.4 million as basic annual salary, or 206,000 naira monthly. The justices of the Court of Appeal, Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court, and the President of the Industrial Court, Grand Cadi of State and FCT Sharia Court of Appeal, President FCT and State Customary Court of Appeal earn annual basic salary of 1,995,000 naira each. And it went on and on. In a cross-country appraisal of the salaries of judges, leadership discovered that the salaries and purchasing power of Nigerian judges and their counterparts abroad, and even in some African countries, were wide apart. So pretty much, we're looking at how important it is to have separation of powers and its application here in Nigeria. But in separation of powers and why it is direly needed, we must understand that each component must be empowered enough to maintain that separation and do that in the comfort that they can. I think what this is trying to posit is the fact that you've got judges who are poorly remunerated, and therefore the appeal to take something from under the table is stronger than you expect. And at that point, when they know that for me to earn anything better than this, or for me to get any special package, this government official who comes here, I need to dance to certain tunes of his. How then do we ensure that we've got that separation of power in place and that it is applied fairly in Nigeria? Remuneration comes to mind here from what Afe Babalola is trying to say.
Yeah, you see, it's coming from the person that should know. If you remember what I was saying, myself, that I shouldn't know all that, I said that the money you will make in 2 years, you make it in a day. It will become overwhelming, especially when you are poorly remunerated. And that's exactly what is happening to judges. In fact, it's very revealing to Emmanuel Ndukwe that judges are earning merely 200 and something thousand a month. As a matter of fact, I thought maybe what they will be going home, let me not just say the figure, but very high. But as it stands now, I've heard this. Should it be anything to go by, that means our judges are not getting exactly what is due them. Now, ordinary regard takes them as maybe second to God, as it were. But whenever it comes to money, they fall like... Now, think about the legislators. How much are they earning? That's an arm of government. Just like the judiciary. They are earning so poorly. And when we talk about the judiciary is corrupt, can they resist? Because they are not. You see the analogy Afe Babalola gave them. A tenant and also somebody standing trial, paying transport for that. Because if the judge has his own car, nobody can penetrate him. So also, if he's empowered in the right way, he will not be susceptible to any bribe. Unfortunately, Nigeria seems not to know how to handle issues. The separation of power, indeed, it looks like we are in principle expressing it most on the part of politicians. Because if you check what the legislators are earning, what will you say? Comparing it with what the judges are getting. 200 and something thousand.
Per month.
Oh, it's a month. And
that's the basic, remember. Good. There are other attendants.
No, I know, because also if you go to the legislators and then look at
you also see their basic too. It's also very, but it's always the surrounding components.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
All right then. Obidima.
See, when we talk of restructuring, people look at political restructuring alone. And we also need institutional restructuring. with this physical also restructuring. To have a three arm of government that are separate boards strategizing for the overall development of the country. I don't know why in this country that judges cannot be even appointed from the rank of those that have made it in the bar, maybe SAN, who, because of the way they have acquired over the years, can resist all those temptations of being bribed to give judgment. There was a time I heard that idea was mooted in this country, but somehow it was shut down when people were even pushing for people like Olisa Abakawadan to be appointed as Supreme Court judges. So the point there is this. It happens in even advanced democracies where people will even be taken from the bar that have not been in the judiciary and appoint them to Supreme Court. It happened. Now, if somebody is, and it was 200,000, 200,000 naira cannot take you throughout a week. You are paying school fees, you are paying this and all those things. And our politicians are feeding fat and corrupting the judiciary and making the judiciary, because whatever that comes from the judiciary, I want to tell you the truth, will affect our democratic practice one way or the other. That's why the last election, it appeared that our democracy was assaulted from the pronouncement of the judgment from courts in this nation. Now, it's not just even the judicial officer. I was even somehow taken aback when I was when I visited the state secretariat. That was on Monday. And the director, we were discussing outside. A pastor drove in with a private car. And the director said that is the husband's car. That they are not provided with official cars. How do you function? Before, in this country, the first thing when you are even coming from coming as a fresh graduate and taking a position as level 8 officer, you are given a car loan. At least something that can afford for a Fiat. You are given an apartment. It makes you to function effectively. It raises your motivational level. That make you to function effectively. Your emotions will be stabilized to do the
how do I say this now? I understand all of that, and I totally agree. I know why it's necessary to have a house or car and everything else to be able to discharge your duties equitably. But, my fear is that, do we assume that we are that sort of wealthy nation? Do we really look at ourselves here and say Nigeria is a wealthy nation? We have the resources, we have, yes, untapped, unprocessed as it is. And the truth about it is, if it's untapped and it's unprocessed, we are poor. We might have the potentials to be a rich nation, but are we a rich nation? And are we judging by the fact that a few who are supposed to handle our affairs are embezzling huge funds to equate the need for the rest of us to be partakers of that largesse?
That's exactly the case. That's exactly the case. We are a wealthy nation. We don't mind this issue of becoming capital of poverty. Yeah. The resources in this country. The only thing is that there is this resistance to develop a structure, an economic structure where we can harness the resources to that kind of work that will benefit the generality of members of this country. Two, the one that is available. We see how it is a kind of being appropriated by those in leadership position. In fact, like the constitution made it that governors, president will have the yam and the knife, and they dispense it the way they want it. So nobody, it does not go through a process of accountability and transparency. Whatever that comes within their coffer is like it's coming to their private coffer.
All right. Okay. We got your thoughts. So let's just move on real quickly. I've got Daniel Momo joining us. Daniel Momo, good morning. Good to
morning,
have you
Nani.
here.
Good morning, Port Harcourt.
All right, then let's move on.
Can I just say?
Okay, go ahead.
Because I was listening on my earpiece.
Sure, go ahead.
First, what is the definition clearly of, say, poorly remunerated in a country like Nigeria in relation to other institutions? What is the definition of poorly remunerated? That's one. Two, there's a proverb in my place that says, when you put a food in a granite shell, those who will be satisfied will be satisfied. A criminal is a criminal, whether it's poorly remunerated or not. A criminal is a criminal. That's one. Two, I think I want to challenge Afe Babalola here, because remember when the DSS arrested the judges, Justice Nguta listed his wealth and the extra code he received, millions of naira, including in Europe and dollars. So let us have a clear, that's what he listed, that this is what the Supreme Court paid him as extra code. Millions, running in millions. So where do they, is it that 200 and this thing is saying? No, I would not want to agree. Because this is a judge who has presented to the world, this is what I got.
Like we mentioned,
defending,
like we mentioned earlier on, they said basic salary.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
most of the meat is usually in all the other
surrounding.
If they don't come regularly, what do you do?
even if they come once, the way they come once is enough to cover.
I'm telling you, you can push down somebody. But you see, do you also compare them with the legislators? For
no, but I have always said this. Anybody who say that, let them drop the rope and go and contest election. If you think that, drop the rope and go and contest election, it's easy to contest election.
You see, it looks.
We say that and say, drop that rope and go and contest election.
We'll come to this later, because for me, the bigger issue here is how we see Nigeria. You know,
Very well.
Yeah,
how
the
we see
question you
Nigeria.
asked,
Yes,
the question is
how we
hanging.
see Nigeria as a very wealthy nation, and therefore we're thinking, look, you can't be giving me this amount. And then again, for those who are saying this is the amount we're giving you, what justifies that when you're taking a bigger chunk? We need to find what strikes the balance when we take these actions, or when we propose this. We'll look at that much later. We'll come back to that. I guess the question will set itself before that time. But this is still in the Vanguard newspaper. ASU strike. Federal government summons ASU and other stakeholders to a meeting tomorrow. Begs lecturers to reconsider this action on strike. It says here there has been partial compliance in varsities in Ondo, total compliance in UNN. UNN guys don't want trouble. Just pay us our money. The federal government yesterday summoned leaders of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and other stakeholders to a crucial meeting tomorrow to find a common ground. Also, to attend the meeting, the government called through the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, are officials of the Ministries of Education and Finance, as well as that of the National Universities Commission, NUC. This came as the House of Representatives yesterday resolved to intervene to stop the ongoing strike by ASU over Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPPIS, among others. A statement by the Special Advisor Media to the Minister, Nwachukwu Obidiwe, said the government appealed to ASU to reconsider its decision on the ongoing strike in the interest of the nation. The statement said also invited to the meeting scheduled to hold at the conference room of the Minister of Labour and Employment are the officials of the Ministries of Education and Finance, as well as that of the National Universities Commission, NUC. Similarly, the House of Representatives has resolved to intervene in the disagreement between the federal government and ASU. So federal government said we're not paying you if you're not enrolled in the IPPIS. Then ASU says, well, we'll down tools. 2 weeks warning to let you know that we intend to do this, fight for the finish. And ASU, federal government says, look, you've got to consider the nation. Please don't go on strike.
Yes, and when they are bargaining, they reach a bargaining point, but in execution, federal government will not consider the federation. No, they won't. But also must consider the nation. It's quite unfortunate. You remember in my comment yesterday, I said, as soon as they have down to now, at least for 2 weeks warning, you see federal government rush to make sure that certain things are provided. And what kind of country is this that we are living only when you nudge government with strike, that government will remember its duties and responsibilities? It's unfortunate. So let perhaps ASU, having known the weak point of government, let them keep on going on strike. What if government calls them and say, okay, this is so much for now because of the situation. We all know the situation Nigeria may get into and already is. We are going to give this much. This much, and faithfully you pay it. What will happen? But government will always want others to be maybe very faithful. Themselves will not be. And let them, they've got their match in us.
All right, then. Obitima, let's hear your thoughts here.
Obima is not angry.
He is, obviously. Obviously he is.
So, actually, I'm on the side of ASU. If you are not in the system, you will not understand what ASU is battling for. ASU is trying to make the university system in this country look like their counterparts in other countries. But in the government have made the public to have a negative perception of ASU. That when such issue happens, they allow ASU to go on strike so that the public will say ASU again, but nobody will say federal government again. And when ASU now, they now begin to jeer ASU, it's when government will now come to begin to see how they will now. You see, that is a very poor governance method of doing things. ASU have been granted, universities have been granted autonomy. And when you say you're integrating them into a certain payroll, what you're doing is to remove that autonomy. That's exactly what you want to do. And there's no how. This issue of that they earn salary here and there, that should not, for me, should not bother the federal government if that payment is not coming from the allocation and it is from the internally generated revenue within the university system. That should not bother. And it's not a pensionable. If somebody is employed here, he cannot receive pension.
No way.
In another university where he's a visiting professor, he may get some allowances for doing what he's doing. And that's the practice universally. You know, we have had even our lecturers here becoming visiting professors in universities in US, in UK. And they go there from time to time. And they are paid. So, university system is not like the polytechnic or college of education system.
All right. Okay.
You know, so for you, and it also enhances the capacity of the professors.
All right. Okay. I've got your thoughts there. Daniel Momo.
Yes, I'll continue from what Mr. Obidima said. ASU again in respect to why the strike. Now, let's be clear about the issues here. Are we talking about mode of payment or the allocation to university denied? Now, clearly what we're talking about is the mode of payment. It has nothing to do with the autonomy. It does not affect any autonomy of the university. As a UNN autonomy, have they lost their autonomy? We are clearly talking about mode of payment. And I've listened to debates, several debates, including that of ASU. And ASU is saying that, see, this mode of payment that you want to use to pay us, we also have a better mode of payment. And the federal government say, no, they are the employer of labor. Not as I think, see, if we are going to a stage today where I think the federal government should take the stand Fashola took then in Lagos State, where he sacked almost about 800 doctors. We are talking about mode of payment. Who decides how you pay your employer? So the employee now decide how you should pay him, not what you to pay him. Nobody is saying the allocation to the federal universities or to any university has been denied, has been reduced, or is no longer coming. But the question or the debate here is that what is the mode of payment? The mode of payment clearly is the case here. And so because of that, is going on strike, sack them. Sack all of them. Sack them.
It's not possible.
All right. Okay.
What?
Sack them from
You collapse the university.
Nothing will collapse.
Nah, lie.
Nothing will collapse in this country.
All right. Then.
Under Goodluck Jonathan, we went to 8 months strike. Did the nation collapse? What
Okay.
collapses? Sack them.
They got something out of it.
APC
That's the
crisis,
word.
state chairman divided over Oshomole. Okay, we went through that earlier on. Moving on, yet another story in the Vanguard newspaper will challenge Sanusi's illegal detention and banishment. That's what the legal team is saying. Part of that story here reads, the legal team of the dethroned Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, declared yesterday that his detention and banishment by the state government will be challenged in court. This came as the dethroned Emir said he took his dethronement in good faith, linking his removal to God. This is even as uncertainty yesterday trailed the whereabouts of Sanusi, who was reportedly flown out of Government House Lafia in a helicopter to an unknown destination. But Vanguard gathered that he was moved to a local community in our local government area, which is about 60 kilometers from the state capital. Leader of the legal team, Abubakar Mahmoud San, who noted the action of the government was illegal, said this action in our view is illegal and unconstitutional. The Kano State Emirate Council law, which was recently enacted by the government of Kano State, does not give the State Executive Council or the governor of Kano State the powers to unilaterally remove the emir. The reason given in the letter of deposition of the emir dated March 9, 2020 was alleged disrespect to the lawful instructions from authorities. The emir was also alleged to have refused to attend official programs and meetings organized by the government. As far as we are aware, there has not been any notice of such disrespect ever given to the emir or query issued to him for the refusal to attend official functions. He was never given any opportunity to defend himself against those charges. Section 13 of the Kano Emirates Council Law 2019, cited in the letter of deposition, empowers the governor to depose an emir only after due inquiry and consultation with State Council of Chiefs. We are not aware of such due inquiry, or are we aware that the Kano State Council of Chiefs was at any time summoned to any meeting, much less discuss the removal of the emir or give any advice to the governor on the deposition? Muhammad Sanusi II was the chairman of the council, and if such meeting was summoned, he would have been aware. He would have informed us. In our view, the action was patently illegal and unconstitutional and a clear abuse of power. Be that as it may, the decision to challenge the removal is solely that of Emir Muhammad Sanusi II. At this moment, no such instruction has been given to us. Since the deposition was announced, I was at the palace yesterday afternoon in the company of one of my colleagues to consult with the emir. We met him in good spirits, in company of his family and a few associates. He told us he was waiting for the deposition letter from Government House and was informed that the Commissioner of Police was on his way, along with certain government officials. Well, on and on. They particularly say what they want to challenge is the issue of banishment, as they don't believe it's constitutional. But on the issue of dethronement, they said, well, the emir will have to prompt on that.
Of course. Just exactly what I said.
Well, the former emir, please.
You know, Annie, I said it yesterday, that dethronement, if what they quoted is anything to go by, well, they have the solution there because they have applied it that particular. But if the legal team is saying there are also some misgivings in what they did, well, if Sanusi says challenge that, they'll go ahead and challenge. But you see the banishing. The banishment, I do not understand where it comes from. I don't. Because, see, the Constitution allows one freedom of association. And again, the worst aspect is that you banished him and then chose a place he should go. I don't know. You see, I don't know. That kind of thing cannot happen in my own side. How can you banish somebody and say, okay, you must go to this place? Maybe if you will be
going... I think with our traditional laws,
yes,
that applies. I mean, I've read something in the papers of a certain man in some southeast where they said he committed some atrocity in the land and he's
Yes.
been banished. I saw people
The
leading.
sweep is like
Yes,
twice
and as you
good.
and I saw people leading him out, and he and his family were bundled out of that community.
Good.
It happened.
Yes.
I also recently have heard of a certain emir of, is it I can't remember where now, Gwandu or somewhere.
Jacolo.
I can't remember. Not Jakolo, but if that one happened, maybe. But this is another area. He's also been in banishment now for 15 years.
No,
And I'm
let's
saying, hold
concentrate
on. And hold
the
on.
north.
No, Emmanuel. The issue is that when you're looking at it from the traditional angle, it is something that they believe can happen. But whether that has been challenged in court,
Thank you.
how that supports the Constitution or is at variance with the Constitution is a different thing
No,
entirely.
I'm not saying
Right.
that what they have done is bad. I have no power to say that. But what I'm saying is the way I feel about that, because look at it, you banish somebody from Kano. You say, in fact, you go to Nasarawa. For me, it's not rational. I don't understand. Now, why not, okay, if you have taken him away from your jurisdiction, tell him to go. He chooses wherever he wants to go to. Because you have removed him, maybe you carry him and then come to the boundary between Kano and wherever, and then keep him there. He takes off to anywhere he wants. He says, Nasrawa. What kind of power does that? I don't know.
All right, then, Emmanuel, calm down. Obitima.
Today, I think we'll give him a coffee. 2 cups.
He needs 2 cups.
Yes, see these medieval practices in this 21st century, in a democratic setting that we are today. In fact, it's something quite shameful. And this is also coming from supposedly educated leaders, governors, who have gone through school and still doing what the primitive village heads, district heads, or whatever did in centuries past. But we also, that's why sometimes some of us say that section of the country, they are dragging us back with their cultural practices, with their traditional practices that do not even have respect to the constitution of the country. You know, you are whatever is their tradition cannot supersede the constitution of this country. In the relevant sections, section 34, 35, 36 of the constitution, that guarantees that kind of liberty and freedom to citizens of this country. Yeah, if you have dethroned him, though this is, I think the father was also had that kind of treatment in 1963.
Grandfather.
In 1963, he is having it now, and he also made. I'm sure that these Sanusi people, they are people, because I read about the man.
These Sanusi people.
It's actually a man of integrity. It's like this is their grandson, you know. So, and I think Ahmad Bello was the one who also dethroned him, because they don't want those people that can speak truth to authority. What is Sanusi? Where he reduced himself to that position, he's an international scholar, a professional in his own right, and the box himself in that position, and politics has really brought him down. Thank God for the good letter that was sent by the wife of former president of South Africa, Mandela. This lady that married another president before.
Yeah, Zimbabwe.
Yes, that sent to Sanusi.
Zambia, I think. Yeah.
Saying that they are with him, all those kind of stuff.
All right, then.
But the point there is that this banishment should be tested in court.
Yes.
It happened to Jakolo,
Daniel-
and the appeal court handled it properly.
Daniel, I'll hear yours, please, when we come back. The news update is next.
No problem.
All right, so stay tuned.
Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I am Annie Abdul Salam. Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Environment have ended their visit on oil-impacted sites in Ogoniland to ascertain the level of job done in the remediation exercise by the Hydrocarbon Pollution and Remediation Project HYPREP. Chairman of the House Committee on Environment, Johnson Ogbuma, during a visit with his members to Tai and Kana local government area of River State, said a holistic report will be submitted by his committee to the House on their fact-finding visit. Ogbuma decried the slow pace of work by some of the contractors handling different lots in the project and called for an improvement to meet up with global best practices. On his part, HYPREP project manager Marvel Decker assured that the Center of Excellence will be built after the first phase of the project. President Muhammadu Buhari says a total of 3.7 billion naira has been recovered from the Niger Delta Development Commission contractors. The president explained that the recovery was made by anti-graft agencies looking into the operations of NDDC. He made the disclosure while speaking at the inauguration of the NDDC Advisory Committee at the State House in Abuja. The committee, which comprises the 9 governors of the Niger Delta region, has the duty of advising the board of the commission in line with the mandate of the NDDC. Lawyers to the deposed Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II, have described the banishment of Sanusi from Kano as illegal. The head of the legal team, Mahmoud Abubakar, said they would take a legal action to challenge Sanusi's banishment and detention if he was not immediately released. The lead counsel said the practice of banishment does not have a place in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The lawyer also called authorities to ensure the immediate release of Sanusi to enable him reunite with his family. And then to the foreign scene, Morocco has recorded its first death from coronavirus. Morocco Health Ministry said the deceased is an 89-year-old woman who suffered from chronic health problems. She returned to Morocco in late February after testing positive for the virus and was transferred for medical supervision to a hospital in Casablanca. 2 other infections have been confirmed in the kingdom: a Moroccan man who came home from Italy and a French tourist who arrived in Marrakesh on Saturday. Both patients are under medical supervision. Moroccan authorities have also imposed restrictions on sporting and cultural events. Several people have been arrested by authorities in recent days for allegedly spreading misinformation on coronavirus on social media. And that wraps the news update here on Today 95.1 FM. Thank you for listening. So have a good morning.
Are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
All right, it's exactly 6 minutes after 9. You're listening to Today 95.1 FM, and I've got Fortune here with me from Planet View Properties. Fortune, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Annie.
All right, so what is new with Planet View Properties?
Maryland is new.
Maryland?
Yes.
Tell us about Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland is a property located around the Omagwa area, very, very close to the major roads, about, say, 5 minutes from the new international airport. And it's also about, 6 minutes to the stadium. You also have sites around the layout, sites like reserved areas for low-cost housing estates. I think First Bank and the federal government are doing something around that zone.
Okay.
Then you also have sites in some private universities around there. Now, the main attraction right now is the construction of roads going around that zone. You have the government, I think, running about 3 or 4 roads linking to this particular property.
Maryland,
so,
yeah.
Yes, Maryland. And it's a thing of joy because a lot of clients that we had over the past 3 years who had got properties within that zone got for the cost of 350, 450, at some points 500, and then we stopped selling at 1.2 where we sold out. Now we have gotten something so close to that particular one,
Area.
and now we have roads going into that place. Then there weren't roads at all. Now you have power, stable power within that zone, and you have roads also coming into that area. So it promises to be an appreciable. It's actually an appreciable property. It's not something you can buy now and wait for 1,000 years to accumulate profits. So as soon as you're buying, right now the roads are under construction. In like say 3 to 4 months or so, it's completed, and you're gonna cash out if you're selling by that time. So the thing is, we are launching at 650,000 naira. We
Per
don't.
plot?
Yes, it's a layout that has features like perimeter fence, and that's to secure the entire layout. You also have installation of transformers and electric poles. As I said, there's electricity around the area, it's easier for people to start developing when they know that they have these resources within the layout. So we are providing all of that at the cost of 650 for now. It's just about 20 plots we're using to launch.
As you're saying for now, that means buy now.
Yes, you just
something
have
can
to.
happen later on.
Yes. So take the opportunity. It's actually an investor's delight, if you would call it that. Because if you're getting it at that price, you're having the perimeter fence. Naturally, we have a property at Ipo selling for 1.5 million naira that has all the same features. You understand? But because this is new, and we always find ways at least to give back to our customers. Once in a while we talk about these promos. It's our own way of giving back to the community as much as we can. So you grab this offer at 650,000 naira against 850,000 naira close to the end of the month. The promo ends very, very, very soon. So please, we'll be having inspections today, Wednesday, and we also have free inspections on Saturday. You can come to the office today, located at 64A Tombia Extension, GRA, Port Harcourt. You can come today, meet us up by 10 if you can. It will take you for a free inspection. If you can meet up by 10, you come by 12. Same with Saturday. We have 2 batches, 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. Then if you need anyone to talk to get more information on these properties, you can reach Mr. Richman on 080 34 21 3191. I repeat, 080 34 21 3191. Now, this particular property in question comes with documentations like deed of conveyance and a registered survey plan. If you need information as to how to go about verifying the authenticity of this property, you can also reach this number I called just now, Mr. Richman, on 080 34 21 3191. And for those of you that are quite busy, you can meet up with this schedule of Wednesday and Saturday. You can call my direct line to book for an immediate inspection, so we can go at any point in time, maybe Monday, sometimes even Sunday. It's
Exactly,
fine.
that's when some people do have time.
Yes, because of the way the work timing is now. So as it stands, you can reach me on 081 6036 3989. I repeat, for quick inspections, call 081 6036 3989.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Fortune from Planet View Properties.
All right,
All right, stay with us here. Coming up, we have the opinion poll in just a moment.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Market Investment Nigeria Limited, a subsidiary of Result Investment Nigeria Limited. For the past 3 years, we have actually used this international capital market to touch lives, families, and companies. We have had firms use this international capital market to open factories such as tissue paper factory production, bakery, pastries factory, and table water factory. We have also had companies use this international capital business to pay for the running cost of their companies, which include their staff salary payment. Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is strictly into the international capital market business, where we trade and invest in 3 sectors: trading and investment in the stock and shares markets, which included trading and investing in the New York Stock Exchange market, European stock market, and Asian stock market. Trading and investment in the commodity market, which include trading in the crude oil market, natural gas, and gold market. We trade and invest in the FX market, which is known as the currency market. For example, the US dollar against Naira market. The rate at which dollar gains strength over Naira would skyrocket the price of the market upward. The rate at which the Naira gains strength over dollar would skyrocket the price of the market downward. In Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited, we are ready to do business with 3 categories of people, Mondays to Fridays. Client A is one who is a novice about the international capital market, and he or she is looking for a reliable and credible platform to learn the trade secrets on how to make consistent profit on the trading floor of the international capital market. Then Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is for you. Client B. This is a client who have done this business before, but he or she is not making profits in the capital market because what we have around is people training you, but they do not know how to trade in the market. Then, if you are in this category, Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is for you. Client C. This is one who wants to invest his or her money in the market, but wants the company to manage his or her portfolio of funds to earn good returns on investment. Then, Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited is for you. Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited, which is a subsidiary of Resort Investments Nigeria Limited, has a proven history of delivering 10% return on investment to her clients for over 3 years now, without stories or delay of any kind. We have looked on different people's financial objectives and we came up with different investment plans. We have the short-term investment and long-term investment. Short-term investment is strictly for 1 month investment and the company offers 8% return on investment on any capital. Long-term investment is from 3 months to 2 years and the company offers 10% return on investment on a monthly basis. The long-term investment is divided into the following categories: 3-month plan, 6-month plan, 1-year plan, 18-month plan, and 2 years plan, all of which offers the client 10% return on investment monthly with a minimum capital of 300,000 naira and maximum of 100 million naira. The sustainability of the capital market has to do with the fluctuation of price. As long as there are fluctuations of prices in the stock market, commodity market, and FX market, we are also bound to make profit on the trading floor or market. For example, the crude oil price of today can never be compared with the crude oil price of tomorrow. $1 barrel movement on the trading floor is a lot for us that trade on the market. The reason why Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited is different is simply because of the live trading services we offer and the constant delivering of 10% return on investment we have been offering our clients for the past 3 years. We just uploaded a video on our website on how the company made 36 million naira as profit on the trading floor of the market. This has never been done in Nigeria or Africa before. If you are looking for a reliable and credible platform to learn or invest in the international capital markets, then think Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited. Remember, we mentioned Road to 2020, and 2020 is here, when the company will be celebrating 4 years of delivering 10% to her clients. We shall be giving away 2 brand new cars and sponsor 2 couples to Dubai to see our Dubai office and for vacation. For more inquiries, you can contact our offices at number 33B Rumola Stadium Link Road, just by Salvation Ministries Glass House, Port Harcourt, or branch office at number 10 NTA Road by Rumokuta Checkpoint, Port Harcourt. Visit our website at www.returnsinvestmentnigerialimited.com, or you can call us on 090 346 14444 or 090 365 27708 or 081 551 89002. Choose financial freedom. Choose Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Opinion poll on today's quest.
More than 3 over 4 of the loots we are talking about in this country today were loots within the 16 years.
Here is a great opportunity to sample all our opinions on the issues raised. Port Harcourt says the PDP is trying to divert our attention because Nigerian funds was looted by the PDP. Melody in Uniport says Madam Jonah is yet to come in terms of the fact that her tenure has expired. Annie, please tell him that investigation is not what you make public until the final stage. Send your opinion to us on Facebook,
www.facebook.com/Today95.1fm,
or on Twitter @TodayFM951. You can also sample your opinions with us on WhatsApp or on our SMS portal using the numbers 070-1933-9962. 18 minutes gone past 9. You're listening to Today 95.1 FM, and it's still today's quest. And now we're moving on to the opinion segment. But just before we do that, let me quickly give Daniel the opportunity to express himself on the last issue we're talking about before the news update came up.
Yes, Annie, concerning this Sanusi issue, his lawyers can decide to challenge his dethronement. But the banishment is what I don't know. I don't understand their own culture, but I'm also from a royal family in Edo State. And then this issue of freedom, he signed into it. Before you eventually become an Oba in my place, the rules are stated. There are certain things you don't do. And if at the end of the day you are dethroned, you will be told where they would put you. You are not the one to decide. You can't decide that. You signed into it. It is the same law that you signed that you use in administering all the things you do within your jurisdiction. And so now, where does the issue of freedom to do this, freedom to do that comes from? I don't know about Kano State. I'm only telling you about Edo State now. Even before you become an Oba, you are supposed to go. There's a bush.
Grooming. Okay.
You go there for 21 days. That's things they will do to you. Because you signed in, you want to be this. So this issue of the constitution, the freedom, it doesn't come anywhere. Sanusi signed into becoming an emir, and if you are eventually dethroned, this is the consequences. This is where they will take you to. And so when you enjoy all of that, and it gets to the issue of the banishment, and you now decide where you want to go, no, it won't happen that way. I'm not saying whether his removal is constitutional. No. I'm not. But the issue, but I'm talking it in relation to Edo State, where I come from. You cannot decide that. The people, it's already written where they will take you to, how many days you will spend there, whether they will be giving food or not. The thing, you will be told what to do. So this issue of constitution, you now come after you have enjoyed that office.
But that's the beauty of it, that after enjoying the office, you can now still contest the legality of that eventually if you feel that it's offensive to you. That's the beauty of it.
No matter whatever you send, every law in this country is subject to the constitution.
It's subject to the constitution.
Excuse me. It's subject to the constitution. And the constitution has spelled out clearly how we should treat ourselves, and has given that kind of liberty, not to confine somebody, like you kind of detain or prison somebody somewhere. You know, it don't have that constitutional this thing. It's not there. That thing was challenged. I think Peacock also made the pronouncement, and that was Giacolo. You know, and that thing was quashed based on the provisions of the constitution.
No,
their culture cannot stand.
No, sorry, I'm talking about Edo State. I don't know.
No, not Edo State. It's applicable to Edo State.
See, sorry, maybe one will come here and make certain things look primitive. Sorry, one will make certain things primitive.
No,
here in the South.
I think what we must understand is that every region has got a set of rules.
Very clearly.
And if you're stepping into the traditional realm, they've got their rules and regulations. That's not to be contested.
Yes.
They've got their rules. You agree to it. You append your signature. You abide by those rules. I'm just of the opinion that at the point where you also feel that the rules should not be applicable, that the beauty of it is that you can test its legality
Yes.
in the courts.
Yes. It has been tested before.
The courts will now determine if indeed you can be banished. Like I said, I mentioned a few places where this banishment had happened before, and I
It
said,
has happened in the colonial
unfortunately,
time in Yoruba.
colonial times, it
And
can be accepted. Colonial times will be
court.
accepted. I'm talking about in recent times where we've got you're banished from here, and the individuals who were involved did not seek a redress in court.
Yes.
So we can't tell whether the courts will say, well, the Constitution does guarantee you a freedom to movement. But when it comes to some traditional aspects, it doesn't. I'm looking forward to hear what the courts will say concerning that.
Yeah, you see,
But if at all we're to go by what has happened, it is the laws of the land where both the stool resides and the emir had been had taken that position on that stool. So if in Kano Emirates they have it that you will be banished, that's what they've just done.
yeah, you see, the issue of banishment.
As archaic as you may think it to be, it is their law.
It is.
It's just the same
a
way
law
here. Hold
counter.
on. It's just the same way here where you have a widow who will be told to drink the water of her
dead
husband.
Yeah, because
In the south here.
yeah, constitutionally, if you go to court to test it, that cannot stand. The only thing is that people don't go to court to test certain things. We cannot on this kind of 21st century, even educated people are supporting so primitive and outdated.
That's
Kind of
Does our constitution just kick away all traditional habits and acts?
No, there are
the
these are
Constitution
negative aspects of it.
Who define negative?
There are negative
The
aspects.
court ought to define.
define
The
negative?
court ought to define really. The court
Yeah,
ought
but
to
it has
define.
defined in Giacomo's case.
Diabolo's case is not this case.
let me
Every
say-
case
All right,
has its own,
Emmanuel, say something. Let me move on to
What I
Choma.
want to say is that what Daniel says, I want to believe it obtains also in Kano, even to the banishment of
The emir,
Sanusi.
the former emir.
But that is in the traditional world. Go to court and test it legally. Let us see exactly what the court,
How
how
that
the court
stands.
will interpret it.
Choco Choma, good to have you. Choco Choma Esquire. So we'll get to know. I hear that you people are earning big money. Your basic this is we're reading it here now. So when you go, please, the rest of us, we all want lunch.
Let me know what's in red. Please, I'm not aware. Is it politicians that are in or lawyers?
It's the judiciary as well as concerned.
The judges. We are the members of the bar.
And I hear that you are the ones that eat even more than them. Anyways, Choco Choma Esquire, welcome. Good to have you, Port Harcourt-based legal practitioner and human rights lawyer. So your thoughts here with Sanusi's matter, the issue here is on the legality of his banishment. I read a bit more on what his lawyer was saying. He said after he was to be removed, he said that his friends had already ordered private jets for him, that he would like to leave for Lagos. And the commissioner of police insisted that he couldn't leave for Lagos and that he must leave to Abuja, from where he will be taken to Nasarawa. And then he insisted that at least his family be allowed to go to Lagos. And his family was put on the private plane sent by his friends, and his family left for Lagos. He was taken by the commission. They did ask the commissioner of police if he was under arrest. They said no, he was not, but they would not allow him get on the other plane and go to Lagos. So they took him to the Air Force base in Kano, and from there he was put on a flight to Abuja.
Okay.
And upon getting to Abuja, Nasser doesn't have an airspace, and
On a helicopter
no, it wasn't a helicopter.
from Abuja.
From Abuja, it wasn't a helicopter. First of all, they drove to Nasarawa. The first location where they went to is taking him from that location now to another that they use a helicopter.
Okay,
all right,
local.
to local. So this is the issue. The lawyer now is saying we don't understand. As at the moment, they're not particular about where he's at now because they've moved him from one location to another. And they're saying that this is what they will contest in court. So we're looking at the issue of banishment.
Yes. If I got you clearly, you are trying to consider basically the legality or otherwise of the banishment of the former emir of Kano.
Yes, please.
But in addressing this issue, I would want to adhere strictly to two opinions that have been raised here. One has to do with what I heard you saying, which is as to the likelihood of every community or society getting to enjoy certain traditional or customary traditions as a matter of fact, and at the same time too amplify on the most chosen view, which is that expressed by Obidema. I must tell you the truth, which has to do with the constitutional provisions. Now, in the first place, one thing we must know is that yes, every community in every society has the right to enjoy its customary peculiarities as a matter of fact. But in the overall of it, it's the provisions of the constitution that guides the do's and don'ts of that particular nation. As a lawyer, I know too well that the answer to your question is that that particular act of banishment, it's not legal. Whether or not Sanusi subscribes to it as at the time he was taking the oath of office, it is immaterial at this point.
Yes.
There are constitutional provisions. Unfortunately, I've just tried attempting to open my constitution and I discovered it's not there. If you look at section 40, you consider section 46 as a matter of fact that gives you rights to advance the court. Section 40 has to talk about the liberty of every person. Section 42 talks about the right not to be discriminated for any reason. And there are other sections of the law that has to do with the fundamental human rights as provided in chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution. There are plethora of authorities as a matter of fact. Now, let me even go back to the basic fundament of the law. If you look at section 1 sub 3, that particular provision says any law inclusive of that one that is coming from Kaduna State, any
from
law
Kano.
God bless you, that is coming from Kano State, it's inclusive. Any authority, any law is a general statement that is inconsistent with the provisions of this law shall be declared null and void. So ab initio, the act itself has been declared naturally now null and void. So we do not even need to consider as to whether or not the act of banishment, insofar as that act, if it is made, extracted, reasoned from the laws of Kano State, established by the State House of Assembly, that in the event the Emir of Kano or whoever that is holding any traditional stool goes contrary to the provisions of the state law regarding that particular traditional position, this and that should be applied. Once that particular provision is found to be inadherent with the provisions of the law, particularly section 1 sub 3, that act shall be declared to the extent of that inconsistency null and void. And if we look at the act of banishing Sanusi Lamido, I may not get his name properly. Sanusi Lamido. That act contravenes chapter 4 in its holistic nature of the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria, making that act of banishment inconsistent with the provisions of the law. Now, there are several authorities. I heard my brother here citing the issue of Southern women being baited with the water.
I mentioned.
No.
Okay, you mentioned. Thank you. Now, such acts, in the case of Mojeku and Mojeku, I know you're not a lawyer. In the case of Mojeku and Mojeku, the court has severally.
At this point, I would say gladly.
Thank you. The court has severally declared that once that act is not in agreement with natural principles, equity, and good conscience, take your hands off it. It is abhorred. Even nature itself abhors it. Can you even listen to yourself? That a man that is coming from, by nature you have been placed to be an indigene of that particular village. By nature you have been made to be a citizen of that particular nation. And somebody is coming to tell you, because I have, what he has committed is not even a criminal offense. As to begin to say, oh, he was arrested by police. It's a customary breach, traditional breach of right, which can be ordinarily reconciled by the tradition of the people, the rules of the people. But now, the importation of that law, I think they went too far. I think they went too far.
Like I said earlier on, we've had series of these sort of issues where we say it's from the traditional institution and then we carry on with it. I've always said, test that in the court of laws, in the law courts, and see how that holds water. If not, then we can now understand that some of these laws are just fancy. Mano, you want to say something?
Yeah, I am even saying that not this Dasuki, that one you raised of a woman drinking the water that the husband is battered
to ensure that she has no hand.
You see, those who allow their sisters to drink that water, something is wrong with them. But for Emmanuel, no, you can't.
But really, let me just ask this question here now. Does that happen at the reverse? If the woman dies, does the man drink?
No. Yes. So only women can.
No, but sorry. You know why I emphasized on it? Because of what Mr. Obidima said, that the primitive nature of some places are the one holding this country back. And
Yes.
I was trying to say this act is even in the south.
Yeah.
It's not in the north. It's practiced here in the south. From what he said, well, he's quoting the law until we test that.
It
But
has been tested.
it does not. It has not been tested. I don't know.
What has been tested? Sorry.
2005
The
I've
act
brought
of banishment
Yes,
has been
now.
tested.
Well, that been tested now.
Unfortunately, I can't get the authorities here. I have the
Jacolo,
judicial
Jacolo.
authorities that has decided.
Let them go
Hold
to
on.
court.
Hold
But
on.
that
Decided
was
that what?
Once you attempt, even it has, I think, is it former Kebbi State or
What did it say?
once you attempt to banish a particular king for going contrary to the provisions of the law of that state, that act is contrary to the provisions of the constitution, and the law is that it shall be declared null and void. And the court, it's even the Supreme Court. I read it yesterday, but unfortunately I can't recall the case.
But is it not criminal that somebody knows this is the law? He enjoys the overall this thing of that office, and then they choose not to want to adhere to the consequences of that office. It's criminal too.
What is criminal?
It's criminal for him to say that. What was criminal?
Illegality of subject
No,
matter.
sorry now.
No.
He's aware of all the things that he will go through if he goes contrary to that office.
The people who administer
Does he
that,
not know?
the people who administer that for him to sign, they don't know that constitution of Nigeria supersedes any
Leave
law
constitution of
they are
Nigeria.
making.
He knows this.
All right, see. No, hold on.
If we leave constitution, they'll
Wait, hold on. Let me say this here. Daniel Momo, it's just the same case as a woman where her husband dies. She has to drink the water that was used to bathe him. I think that for a lot of people, they'll
Not
tell
just
you.
that, Tony.
Hold on.
Shows
I'm just trying. There are a lot of things. I'm just trying to carve a little out of it. I think that is usually established when we understand that we go through the traditional rites of marriage.
Very well.
So we understand that this is binding us. We've done the traditional rites, and therefore, when you die and you get to be buried, the unspoken word is that tradition will also get to play out here.
Very well.
But we still don't say, "Oh, don't get married traditionally," even though we know that the underlying thing here might be, if he dies, I'll be drinking some water that I shouldn't.
The woman drinking that may die of the contamination of the body.
The one that is shocking me now, apart from this, is that it doesn't happen at the reverse. If the woman dies, the man doesn't drink.
No, because it's only women that can poison somebody.
Yes.
What kind of thing is it?
Please tell me the village this is happening.
that's why I should take it up.
Tell me the
In
village.
the
where
southeast, it's mostly there in the southeast.
I'm going there.
It happens in the southeast. It happens.
I thought, okay, if you're married, if any of us dies, then we have to wash and drink. So it's only the women who drink. The men don't drink. They'll start drinking. In fact, we'll wake up, we'll exhume corpses of 10 years ago and say, drink.
We are not qualified to drink.
Drink. It's a shame though, but that is it. We've got traditional laws that really ought to be. I don't know why you're banishing. Well, okay, I understand if you need to remove him immediately from Kano.
Yes, I can remove him. Let him go to Abuja.
You just said, look,
his life.
we remove you, and the reason why I even think that is that you're removed from. Hold on a moment. Yes, I think why you should be removed from the entire Kano in his case is because when he was emir of the Kano Emirate, which covered all of Kano.
Yes.
So until, of course, they had to break it down to about 5 kingdoms now, so to say.
Maybe they will revise
So
it again.
in his case, I'll understand why they say, "Oh, you've got to leave Kano," because he might have supporters in any part,
Which
in
is
Gaya,
true, yes.
in any
Yes.
place. So we don't want you still speaking to a few people. So leave Kano.
Yes.
And then I would think that in leaving Kano, perhaps they will give you 21 days or 20 days. Let's just establish a new army and all, and then you're free to do what you need to. But to say you're banished and we'll decide the particular place you go to and then we'll hide you there.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well, I do hope that I do hope that they go
an adult.
Please read that place.
That's why they're going to court.
No, but it's an adult.
Yeah, that's why they're going to court.
Annie, he has gotten that place.
Yes, okay.
Maybe you should read.
What's that?
Look at it.
The position of the law on banishment of a deposed king, government of Kebbi State versus His Royal Highness Mustafa Jokolo, LPER. The appellate court condemned and declared that banishment and deportation of a deposed king is unconstitutional. It held, and I quote, the governor of Kebbi State has no right to act outside the clear and unambiguous provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, applicable to this case. Section 35, subsection 1 of the said Constitution provides that every citizen of Nigeria is entitled to his personal liberty and no person shall be deprived of such liberty except in the circumstances set out in subsections A to F thereof. Section 40 of the same Constitution provides that every person is entitled to assembly freely and associate with other persons. On the issue at hand, Section 41, subsection 1 of the Constitution is germane, and it provides thus. 41:1 says, every citizen of Nigeria is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria and to reside in any part thereof, and no citizen of Nigeria shall be expelled from Nigeria or refused entry thereto or exit therefrom. Nothing in subsection 1 of this section shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. A. Imposing restrictions on the residence or movement of any person who has committed or is reasonably suspected to have committed a criminal offense in order to prevent him from leaving Nigeria. Or B. Providing from the removal of any person from Nigeria to any other country. 2. That's one. B1, be tried outside Nigeria for any criminal offense, or B2, undergo imprisonment outside Nigeria in execution of the sentence of a court of law in respect of a criminal offense of which he has been found guilty, provided that there is reciprocal agreement between Nigeria and such other countries in relation to such matter. The appellant has not been able to show that the banishment of the first respondent from Gwandu Emirate in Kebbi State and his deportation to Obi in Nasarawa. Why do they all like sending them to Nasarawa State? Nasarawa is the absorber.
You know, if you look at those days,
Nasarawa was more like
up to all those places.
And Nasarawa pretty much. Nasarawa was part of where was Nasarawa? Nasarawa was part of Abuja. No,
Nasarawa
part of Plateau. Was part of Plateau. So they were in the Banza Bokwe. That's why they're banishing Banza Bokwe, the bastard seven.
Are you serious?
Bastard seven.
Keep it at bastard seven, please. That's the meaning. Banza Bokwe.
But that's what I read in history.
I don't know what you read in history.
Banza is bastard.
Wow. I'll keep you on this radio station. Anyways.
I read it in West African history.
Yeah, okay, good.
That's true.
It says here that later to deportation from Kebbi State by the governor of Kebbi on or about the 3rd of June 2005 of the first respondent to Lafia in Nasarawa State and later to Obi, also in Nasarawa State, is most unconstitutional and illegal. By the said banishment and deportation, the first respondent has been unduly and wrongfully denied his constitutional rights to respect of dignity and of his person, to assemble freely and associate with others, including the people of Gwandu Emirate of Kebbi, and to move freely throughout Nigeria and to reside in any part thereof, as respectively provided in the Constitution of the Federal Republic 1999.
My position here, Annie,
has not changed.
No, sorry, please. If one day I am called to come and become the Otaro of Auchi, and I know the consequences attached to becoming the Otaro of Auchi, I should simply just back off and tell them no. Why?
No.
I should say no. Of course.
As a matter of fact, that is when I'll go in.
Yes.
Just so that I can be an instrument in changing some of those draconian laws. Yes.
What's draconian?
It's draconian. Why are you banishing the person?
Freedom of
You're banishing.
I don't expect you to reason that way.
You don't banish the person because you want to remove him from the seat that you banish. Are we saying here that you should?
There is an adult. He signed into it.
The person that signed into marriage. The person that signed into marriage, is that person a child?
No, but no, sincerely.
This is it. This all the sincerity you can get in this matter.
I believe, or I think that you've understood perfectly the position of.
I'm only telling you that
you are only arguing,
you are
only still holding your position because you've held it before and you do not want to derail from it.
No, what I want to ask is very simple. Is there any other thing that is associated with this royal issue?
Very well.
Hold on.
Let me finish.
There are a lot of things that you don't see. Let me finish. Why I'm asking this question is that what Joko brought out is very plain. Look, and then you heard it, you are still putting
no. I'm not going against.
Maybe that's why
I'm only saying. No, sorry. I'm only saying.
Okay, hold on. Let Daniel finish what he's saying. So we're not noisy.
Going forward, we understand this.
Yes.
But when you know the consequence of where you are going to, why put your head there? And at the end of the day, you say that because of the constitution, you have freedom. Why go there in the first place?
So nobody should go there.
Now,
don't take it. Don't take the position. Don't take it.
What we are talking about now is morality.
Don't take it.
It's morality.
Hold on.
Go there.
First of all, I don't understand. Okay, so you disrespected the office of the governor on constituted authority. That's what you say. And he sold some lands illegally. Why are you not pursuing that through the? Hold on. I'm trying to understand the issues underlining his banishment.
Yes.
And then I'm seeing pictures of where he's supposed to be at the moment. It looks like a one-room self-contained. That's what it looks like.
Are you serious?
One bedroom and living room. And why would you want to send? If not because you seek to humiliate a person.
Yes, that's
if not because your true intention is
I
to
think we're
keep
missing the point.
No,
we're missing the point.
You are not even attempting to question the rationale behind the law.
No, but sorry.
Sorry
now. Before I started this, I clearly said I don't know. I'm No, sorry.
Before the suspension.
I said his lawyers can challenge his removal. I don't know, but I'm only saying in Edo State, this is what, and that's why.
And the person who is in Edo State, the Oba, if he ever gets such treatment, I pray he's smart enough to challenge that in court.
No. See,
I pray he's smart enough to go to court to challenge that.
About 3 years ago.
So he's not having any chance of challenging.
About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I've forgotten how they address him now in Warri. Is it the Oba of Warri now?
The Olu
of Warri. What did he say? He said he's now a born again Christian, and he wanted to stop. And they asked him, leave the place. Leave. If you want to become a Christian, leave there. They told him, widely read, told him, leave the place. If you are a Christian, when you became the Olu of Warri, you weren't a Christian. Now you are a Christian. Leave the place and allow us get somebody else who will sit on this throne.
That's a different.
Wait. Now I'm only telling you. In his life, when he became the Olu of Warri, he was not a Christian. Along the line.
But that works just fine.
I'm coming.
No, your argument. Hold on, Daniel. That argument you're giving there works fine. No, it works fine there.
No, it does.
It works completely fine.
You were not a Christian
and you took on that position. You said now you're born again. The traditional stool has the right to dictate that for anybody who is going to continue to sit on us, we need you to ensure that the practice of the people is what you do.
There are rituals.
Somebody should know something. That's why you should go there and try to change it.
In context of banishment, in context of drinking the water of a dead husband, I'm thinking that yes, this is what I expected. I will want to do. I will go there and force a change to those kind of rules. I don't imagine that if they call me now to come and be the women don't get okay. Let me Queen Amina. If I at some time find myself as the emir of the Zaria Emirate or something like that happens, and after it, then they say, oh, you're banished to maybe they'll now take me to one place in Taraba in some. And I would definitely.
Mom, this time it should be Zamfara.
No, please, Emmanuel. Please let it be Taraba. I will definitely go to court. I am happy. I'm happy that at some point I'm able to lead my people in that capacity as a traditional ruler. I want to bring change. I want to bring, a forward movement to my people. So I will gladly want to do that. And if there are anything in the laws there that I think I don't want to do, like in this case where you say he was a Christian, and I also voice that out, and they say, oh no, the stool demands that so and so continues, then that means I have to excuse myself because I cannot say I want to maintain that stool and remain there because, again, remember that the Constitution's guaranteed freedom of religion. So the Constitution recognizes that a traditional person has the right to hold on to what he believes and and his mode of worship. So if they've also called you to take upon that stool to lead them in that form, you can't go there now and categorically say, "Oh, I'm on the stool," but you say I'm a Christian, and then now you have to do Christian things. No, the Constitution in that form too. You leave the stool for the people that they want.
It's true now. There are rituals that a Christian cannot perform, and you say you are going to be a traditional ruler of that place. Without those rituals, then
the emir definitely. I saw pictures now. It's disheartening. The emir should find his lawyers and they should quickly
maybe
get
go to
one
local latrine.
No, but
there's no local latrine.
No, but the
there's
truth
no
was
local
that
latrine.
it was not because he was banished. That's why they decided that is the place. That place has been there for anybody who goes against whatever they have said. So that place has been there. It wasn't that it was just created because Sanusi was dethroned. No.
That's not the line of argument. No,
that's not the line of argument.
It could be what they have established.
We have
what I'm saying is that banishment is questionable.
Don't go there. Don't go and join them if you don't want the consequences of what you see. Don't join them.
God, right. Why do we actually go to school?
It's almost
yes to start this argument. To have this kind of
argument. It's to change some of these things.
Daniel said it's to have this kind of argument.
My opinion should differ from your own.
I'm with you on that. The reason we go to school is like so we can independently sharpen our minds,
civilize our community.
I agree with you in civilizing the community.
So what Daniel is saying has a point too.
But you've got to understand that in civilizing the community, your mode and mine doesn't have to be the same.
You see, Annie, you see, what you can evolution. What we call evolution. There's this life evolves. Customs also evolves.
Life doesn't evolve.
Yeah, sorry. Tradition also evolves. That. So, and the reason why
science says life evolves.
Yes, that's science.
Good. So he was right when he said so.
So what we are not trying to say is this: when we go to school and we come out, we have been equipped with certain mentality, perception that will bring into our look at the things we should hold on to and the things we ought not to hold on to. You know, that could still pull us back in terms of moving forward. Now, we'll try to do away with it. Yeah, there could be resistance, but it is for us who actually have this knowledge to persist in changing those things. Look, today, in my community, I'm not in a village, what you call town union meeting or village meeting or even family meeting. And in sharing land, he said, because I'm not in that meeting, you will not share. I challenge it. You won't give me my land because the Constitution protects me that I have freedom to associate. I'm not banned for that village meeting. I can form another group in my community of like minds and associate for the purpose of development of my community. You know, so if somebody cannot be denied a certain right, a certain liberty, because that is contrary to the Constitution of the country. So that is why we went to school, and that is why we are still educating our children, that they will leave some of these things behind, and that's why we also embrace Christianity to enlighten us the more.
Hold on here.
In summary, are you saying that because Daniel did succumb to your own argument, he's not educated?
No,
let me know.
My mom told me the day.
Yes, right.
And you see, hold on. I don't want to make it an issue of religions. I've seen other people who are not Christians and who are civilized.
Yes,
of course.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to make it. Because said that's why we accept Christianity. Hold on.
The people who call the Western world, how many of them are Christians? How many?
I'm just trying to say. Hold on. The point here. That is why I said I don't want to make it an issue of religion. But when you said that's why, because we want to get civilized, is why we accept Christianity. I have a problem there. There are
but
millions of
it's
people.
not the truth.
There are millions of people who
It's
are
the
not
truth,
Christians
though.
and
No,
are
it's not.
civilized.
There-
Millions.
there are people
There are
who discover certain
nations. There are
things that are
nations.
Christians.
There are nations that have far developed and they are not Christians.
Let me tell you, Obidima. You see, Satanism leads civilization.
No.
Forget that.
It's okay.
No, no,
All
no,
right.
no,
no.
Hardball.
No, yes,
All right.
hardball.
Daniel, you want to say something?
I from what he said, you see, my mom told me the day I was going to university. He said I should know the kind of friends I will associate myself with, and that the things that I'm not clear with, I should do away with them. And this is my advice to anyone in future called to come and become the king or anything anywhere.
No, you're right.
There
You
are
have a point there.
consequences there. Don't go there. Don't join them. Let them be. Let them practice what they practice. Don't go there. You enjoy that office. The this thing that office brings, you enjoy all. And when it comes to facing the other side of it, that's the day you now realize that the constitution guides you. The constitution does this. Then why did you sign into it in the first place? Were you a kid?
No.
In the old Oyo Empire, I read the history. When an Oba is dethroned, he is allowed to go and commit suicide. Is that applicable today? So that's why we say this evolve. Those things are not applicable.
Apart from
Do
that,
you understand
See,
what Daniel is saying?
they used to have the people that they die with.
Yes,
kill them.
till
What do you call
today,
them?
it still
They call them
happens.
something.
Including my place, still happen. They tell you
I'm
don't
trying
go
to remember
out.
the name of the.
They tell you don't go out from signing out. Anybody they catch at that time.
Yeah.
Doesn't not happen everywhere.
And the guy's murder.
But you know, that's murder.
No, of course.
They just haven't thought to challenge that in court, but that's murder.
Yes.
But
No,
apart
because
from-
we have not seen
apart
somebody
from
they
that,
caught now.
Apart from that, I think I feel that part of the reasons people are actually against this banishment, save the constitutional provisions and all that, it's because it has some political
Of
intonation.
course. And
I will tell you the truth.
I don't want to go to that side at
If
all.
it were the other way round, people wouldn't have entered it the way they are today.
Sanusi is not in good terms with Ganduje.
Ganduje,
Of course,
that is the problem. So let us forget about
That's
it.
the whole thing.
He would not have been even.
Me, I'm talking about the banishment
from
from
the top
what
of
I
banishment.
know in my place.
I'm
Can
not
you
saying I don't know about it. Use Nasarawa for me. You take me to the boundary of.
He is the one.
Leave.
He is the one. The governor is supposed to be banished for stuffing dollars inside his
Alleged.
sabbatical.
Alleged.
What is alleged?
No, you okay
The
now?
one we saw.
You saw you said
Everywhere.
education. You said education. Now you said education. Today now you are saying
No.
you saw. It's alleged.
What
It's
is alleged?
alleged.
It's the Nigeria here will use this alleged.
Okay, you hear? You hear?
You know?
Now when I was saying my own,
No,
we were talking
it's
about the
alleged.
constitution.
But we saw this thing, where the man is stuffing dollars.
You
He
saw
said
it
it's
now.
alleged.
Okay, but when they took him to court, is what?
Which court?
Yeah, good.
Which
It's
court?
what now?
Kano court. It ended there.
All right, then we got your thoughts on that. In any which case, for cases like this, I'm just excited that there is a law court
Now they
to
can go to
approach.
court, yes.
So let's see how that works out for him. If in his case, he might just get the same thing that the court dished out to Kebbi State. But I think that
If the court returns Sanusi there, you go.
no, but I don't think they're contesting his
the dethronement.
yes, his
No, I don't
dethronement.
think
I think it's the banishment and deportation
Yes,
that's
so
their particular.
that's where I
ground.
have a problem
But
myself.
does he not have right to contest it?
The determinant. He can
No,
contest.
he can.
No, he
but,
can.
but the lawyer said that they don't have any go ahead on that.
Unless
the only
he
person
tells
that
them.
can prompt that is
The man.
Sanusi.
the person who is it's involved in
Let him
particular.
contest.
But
If
what
I were
they
him,
will be going to
everything.
court for
His
is
banishment.
his banishment and
If I were him, I would contest everything.
And the other person is his brother, who is now the emir.
married to his sister. His sister, the emir sister is his first wife.
Daniel, if you are my brother and you,
not
because of the physics in my buttocks, you didn't just bite me, I will bite you on the
No,
head.
that one
without,
didn't bite you.
He
Yes,
did.
that
I think there's a
thing
lot of biting that
Yes.
went on there.
Yes, I do
a
tell
lot
you,
of backbiting that went on in that place here. But I think this just spotlights our traditional institution by and large, and how there's certain laws that somehow we just think it's normal, you know. We it happens and we just embrace it and we move on. Like I mentioned, in some southeastern community where, you know, the people of the community were sweeping the floors, they were banishing this individual. He must have done something heinous, I accept.
Yeah.
But why not, you know, go to court or go let the court say, okay, yeah, you did this terrible, you're going to be locked up for 6 months or 1 year or so and so. Where does banishment come to play here? We spoke about the ones of drinking the water of a dead spouse. We also went now to mention the one in the southwest.
The worst.
Southwest. The worst is murder, Emmanuel. Where because somebody dies,
with the
an Oba
coronavirus.
an Oba dies, then he must carry 3 more virgins or some innocent people to die with him.
No, if you catch any of them that caught the head.
I think it's something Obako or something like that. Agbako or something. The person who is supposed to die when the Oba dies.
No,
he's supposed to stay and enjoy his Abako.
It's
or
called
something.
Abobaku.
Obabaku.
Abobaku. Now in Yoruba land they have that.
And he's with you all throughout in your palace,
Yes,
so enjoying the sweetness of life with you.
Anything
Anything he wants, he gets.
As
But
you
he knows
travel
that
to
as you are
America,
dying,
he goes with you. But the day you die,
he will die
that
with
man
you.
will die with you.
Oh my goodness!
For what?
Okay.
Why were you enjoying? Why you were eating that chicken? Why you were eating that chicken that time?
Okay. Are we going to
You
say
didn't know.
for that person too should go to court and contest?
I think so.
No, he can go to court.
Absolutely.
Why not?
But he agreed.
No.
And it's not
No.
because-
No,
Why
no,
are we
no.
like this? Why are we like this?
What are we talking about?
Why are we like this?
Go to court.
The constitution of this country.
No,
Listen,
but hold
That
on.
was criminal.
Excuse me.
That's criminal now.
Excuse me.
No,
That's why
no.
traditional
It might be
institutions
conscripted. He
should
might
now
be
make their
conscripted
rule
to
to read the
believing
constitution of
that.
this country and make their
Sorry.
rules to align with the constitution.
No, let me say
See,
something.
hold on.
Sorry, let me say something.
Daniel,
In my place.
Daniel, you must understand something. That the law courts are established in order to sort out issues
Bring
of
every
Yes,
type of issue.
and then
grievances.
we remove this kind of
No,
nonsense.
Hold on.
Okay.
I said this is, you know, one of the reasons why they're established, so that they can sort out grievances and then they can sort out disputes and also punishments. And I think that if I'm okay with a system, I'm okay with it. I'm just giving. If I'm okay with a system, I have no rights going to court over that matter. But immediately that system upturns and I don't enjoy it anymore, I have every right to still go to court and say, I've been enjoying this system, but till this moment here, this system is asking me to deliver 5 goats every month, and I'm not okay with it.
But Annie, anyone who has such mind is a criminal.
No, I don't think so.
No, sorry, please.
I don't think so.
No, sorry now, wait. In Yoruba land, you know that this man, you are the Abobaku, and you know that the law here says when
When
this
he dies,
man
you die.
You die.
I want to change that.
You agree. You sign.
Yeah, but now I
Now,
changed my
come
mind.
in. Every perk of that office you enjoyed.
But now
You
I changed
enjoyed
my
the money,
mind. But
you did
now
everything.
I
the
changed
king
my
now
mind.
die. That's when you now change your mind.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
I have
now.
every right
when
to.
Chris Ngige and Chris Oba signed whatever part, and then he reached the
Before
time to
Okija
execute.
Shrine.
Yes, he reached the time to execute. Ngige said no. Are you saying that Ngige is criminal minded?
Yes. See, let
Hey,
me
no,
tell you.
no.
Because
It was from that issue
How
of
do you define
Ngige.
the
The person that is
the
even
thing-
criminal
No,
minded
no,
is the
but
person
sorry.
who took it to
No,
that
but sorry.
person.
How do you define an upright man? Is it the one that is
No, it's what
no.
is-
How do you define an upright
An upright
man?
man.
To say that I will not take this.
That will go with
This is
righteousness
what-
to the end.
No, come on.
All right. It's 10 o'clock. The news update comes up next. At least I'm upright in that.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update.
Hello and good morning. Here's the news update on Today 95.1 FM. I'm Annie Abdul Salam. Kano State government has denied banishing the former Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II. The Kano State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Ibrahim Mukhtar said Sanusi was only removed by the state government as Emir. Speaking on a television program monitored from Port Harcourt, the commissioner said the government is surprised at the narrative of banishment, which has trailed the removal of Sanusi, adding that the government never used the word banished when Sanusi's removal was announced. Mukhtar, however, acknowledged that Sanusi was taken out of the state after his sack. In the meantime, the Kaduna State government has appointed deposed Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II, into the board of the State Investment Promotion Agency. A statement from the governor's spokesman, Muyiwa Dikeye, said the appointment is part of the reconstitution of the board of Kadipa, which is statutorily chaired by the deputy governor and has as internal members other senior officials of the Kaduna State government. The statement added that Kaduna State hopes to benefit from the profile, experience, intellect, and network of His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II, who before becoming Emir had built a solid reputation in global financial circles. According to the statement, Deputy Governor of Kaduna State Hadiza Balarabe will chair the board, while His Highness Mohammed Sanusi will be the vice chairman. Members of the House Representative Committee on Environment have ended their visit on oil-impacted sites in Ogoniland to ascertain the level of job done in the remediation exercise by the Hydrocarbon Pollution and Remediation Project, HYPREP. Chairman of the House Committee on Environment, Johnson Obuma, during a visit with his members to Tai and Kana local government area of River State, said a holistic report will be submitted by his committee to the House on their fact-finding visit. Obuma decried the slow pace of work by some of the contractors handling different lots in the project and called for an improvement to meet up with global best practices. On his part, HYPREP project coordinator Marvel Deckel assured that the Center of Excellence will be built after the first phase of the project. On the foreign scene, the United States military says it has carried out an airstrike in Somalia, killing 5 members of the Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab. This comes a day after it said 4 jihadists were killed in a similar attack. The United States Africa Command said it did not believe any civilians were injured in the attacks, although it was aware of reports on social media of civilian casualties. Over the weekend, an Al-Shabaab commander who had coordinated attacks on military targets was said to have been killed in another airstrike. These attacks by the U.S. military have become increasingly common under Donald Trump's presidency, but they are often followed by reports from inside Somalia that civilians have been hit. And that wraps the news update here on Today 95.1 FM. Thank you for listening. To have a lovely morning.
Court, are you ready? Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Radio has never been this good. Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Country people, una don hear Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company (PHED). It don bring information and na for people wey dey use light inside River State. According by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission directive under the multi-year tariff order (MITO), dem go change the money wey dem dey collect for light with effect from April 1, 2020. As e don be like that, PHED dey call everybody wey dey use light for River State to make una come follow rub mind on how the new tariff want to be. Come for the public consultation for NUJ Press Center, 11 Moscow Road, Port Harcourt by 11 a.m. Ponquem on Thursday, March 12, 2020. No miss am 11 for Momo, Thursday, March 12, 2020 for Nigeria Union of Journalists NUJ, their Press Center, 11 Moscow Road, Port Harcourt, River State. PHED, empowering your future.
Are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
It's exactly 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Today 95.1 FM. We've got some friends in the studio. Quickly introduce yourselves. What are your names?
Yeah, thank you, Port Harcourt listeners. My name is Chidi Bernard from IM Mastery Academy.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Mona Blessing.
All right, good. So what are we here for today?
Yes, we are here to intimate our listeners with our offering. Information is power. We've come to give them information about our mentoring session by Wealth Academy. And we are giving information and education on Forex business. Forex is all about foreign exchange. And in this mentoring session by Wealth Academy, you are going to be taught on how to be financially free, have financial independence, and the issue of inability to pay your bills will be something that you will no more experience. And as you come to this program, you will be taught on how to navigate the forex market. The forex market is highly liquid, and it is a place where up to more than $6 trillion exchange hands on daily basis. And when you come to this particular program, you will be taught on how to be part of this over $6 trillion business. And what does it take to be part of this particular mentoring session? Is your willingness, your phone, and even your writing materials. And this particular program is taking place tomorrow, and that is 12th March 2020. And the venue is Sweet Spirit Hotel, 79 Ken Sarawuwa Road, former Stadium Road. And all you need to do is to text this number, text this code, WEALTH, to phone number 080-387-80260. So just to really answer your question, we are about to give our listeners education on how to use wealth education to practice wealth creation.
All right. So first of all, let's understand that market, because quite a number of people said, "Oh, we've tried it before, and this is really very difficult." What do you say to those group of people?
Yeah, at times some people are impatient, and we really need to learn. Most times people forget that when we talk about wealth, it's an art. A doctor, somebody that wants to be a doctor will go to medical school. Somebody that wants to be a lawyer will go to the bar or study law. But a lot of people are not ready to learn. And when they dabble into forex business, they will just bite their fingers, and at the same time, they will say that it's not working. It's inability to learn. And that is what Forex Wealth Academy is here to teach each and every one of us. And I have in the studio a student that can testify that this thing has been working. And anybody that says it has not been working, the person has not been patient, and the person has not been ready to learn.
All right, let's hear from her.
Okay, I'm Omona Blessing Michael, and I joined this academy 2 months ago. And as at now, I can tell you I can trade the forex market comfortably.
Okay, and how has it been for you since then?
It's been wonderful.
How?
That's because Wealth Academy, in partnership with iMarket Life, provide different products on how we can use to navigate the forex market. For example, there's something called the harmonic scanner. The harmonic scanner tells you when to buy in the market. It's like the prophet of the market. It gives you conditions on when to buy and sell.
Mm-hmm. And that has helped you a lot?
Yes, that has helped me a lot.
Okay, then. What were you doing before you joined?
Okay.
Or what are you doing at the moment?
Okay, I'm awaiting service.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, then. So, for people who are interested in this, what do you say to them again? You have a seminar coming up?
Yes, we have a seminar coming up tomorrow, Thursday, 12th March 2020. All you need to do is to text this code, WELTH, that is wealth, to this particular phone number, 080-387-80260. This is for your seat reservation. And just as I said that information is power, there is no need for us to suffer in financial problems. And now there is possibility of come tomorrow at Sweet Spirit Hotel, number 79 Kensara Uwa Road, former Stadium Road. And you just text wealth to this phone number 080-387, whatever your fund is. I'm going to give you 15%. So why are we settling for less when you can go for 100%? I personally have been involved in such ones that they will say they will give you 10% or 15%. But when I entered into Wealth Academy, I went back to them that I want my money back so that I can earn that 100%. What did they tell me? They told me, come back in 2 weeks' time to collect your fund. And in that 2 weeks' time, what of my return on investment? They said, no, we are not going to give you anything because you are leaving. So you can see that there is no need for you to just sacrifice your fund for people that will not play straight. But when you come to Wealth Academy, you will be taught, and that 100% will be yours. You are not going to share it with anybody. So to answer your question, Wealth Academy is unique because you can learn on your own, you can learn online, you can learn in our school and be master of yourself. You can use your fund and get the 100% instead of somebody giving you part of it.
All right. And how long has this been in existence?
Personally, I joined Wealth Academy Q4 last year, and the outfit has been there for more than 3 years.
Okay. All right. And the people who want to be part of this can call what number, or is this sending a text message?
Yes, they are sending text message they are sending a code. That code is WEALTH, WEALTH, to a phone number. Listeners, the phone number is 080-387-80260. I repeat, 080-387-80260. This is for your seat reservation, so that we'll be sure that you are coming, and make sure that when you come, you will have value for your money.
All right. So what kind of people should come for this event?
Thank you for that question. We are expecting applicants. We are expecting as many as want to change their financial position in life. We are expecting people that have retirees, so that at the comfort of your home, you can make money. So anybody that is interested in making additional money, having additional source of income, anybody that is an applicant, anybody that wants to improve his financial power is expected to come around.
Okay. Anything else you want to share? Go ahead.
Yeah. It's just to make sure that if you didn't get that particular number, the number is 080-387-80260. And you are going to text the word WEALTH, wealth, to this particular phone number. We will be expecting you so that you'll be free from financial problems.
All right. So just before we leave, let me start from you first. You said your experiences. How has it been for you when you were learning, though? 2 months now. How has it been when you were learning?
It has been fine.
Okay. How were you able to learn? Did you have one-on-one teaching sessions?
Yes, we have a training center at Shumola.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good question. In learning or in mentoring, we start with demo trading, whereby our students will go through a period, either 1 week or 2 weeks, demo trading. You are not trading in live account. And when you demo trade, you make all the mistakes you can make. And later on, you can start with a live account. And it has been mind-blowing. By the time you start with your live account, you can enter into the trade and be part of this over $6 trillion transaction on daily basis.
You know, recently we had on the issue of the slump in crude oil prices, and a lot of people were saying these are the kind of indices that helps them make money when they're on the forex. I want to know how that has been of any change for forex traders. This issue of global slump in oil money.
Yeah, in this particular business, we trade conditions. We say no condition, no trade. So in issue of trading conditions, there are some things that you look out when you see them, you start trading. But just to really let our listeners understand, I will want to take us to advantages of this forex business. And one is use of financial tools. There are a lot of tools that we have that can help in even no-brainer to really navigate through this particular market. And these tools include what we call harmonic scanner, which Blessing earlier mentioned, which has not less than 90% accuracy rate. And this particular tool, it will help you to analyze a particular trade, and you will eventually make your cool money without actually having any loss. And we also what we call pivot scanner. We have the gold cup. So all these tools are available to you and me to really navigate this. Another advantage is that the ability to utilize analysis by other educators, because maybe you don't know what to do, but when people analyze a particular market, they will spread it in our platform, and all that you need to do is you just do copy and paste. That's one of the advantages. Another advantage is the ability to do it by yourself. So if you can do it yourself, why give it to another person to do for you? And when you look at it, it is a very good way to retire. A man of 80 years can practice forex business. A man of 80 years might not do some businesses, but for forex business, you can do it. So one of the advantages of this offer or our portfolio or what we have to offer is that any man, even up to 80 years, any woman, even up to 80 years can do this particular business. And can I tell you that you will be free from financial difficulties.
Amazing. So share the contact again as we wrap up.
Yeah, thank you very much. The contact is still, the venue for the program is Sweet Spirit Hotel, 79 Ken Sarawa Road, former Stadium Road, Port Harcourt. And just text the word WEALTH, WELTH, to phone number 080-387-80260 for your seat reservation.
All right, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, just stay tuned. Opinion poll comes up in just a moment.
Radio has never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Today is here. Yesterday is gone and unrecoverable. Tomorrow, you don't know what it holds, right? You have today. Yes, you heard me. You have today. The indisputable truth is that today is pregnant with both good and bad. You have freely been given today as a gift to see what you will make out of it. Permit me to be positive. Permit me to sideline the negative and magnify the good. Permit me to espouse on today. Today is great. Today is wonderful. Today is targetable and targets can be achieved. Today is domineering and you can be dominant. Today is a conqueror and goals can be conquered. Today is challenging and you can challenge yourself for the better. Today is cheerful. You can choose to be happy. Just in case you're sulking, saddened and feeling sorry for yourself. Enough of the wallow in self-pity. You have today. I mean today. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. Take that step today. Opportunities are everywhere. Just be sensitive. Build on yourself and get ready for the opportunity. Be the best you can be today, because I see the sun smiling on you. This message is powered by Today
95.1 FM.
Voice of the people.
Wake up to today's quest.
Wake up.
All the news and information you need in one go. Get started with the best of sports, lifestyle, analysis, and Annie.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Wake up to today's quest with Annie on Today 95.1 FM. From 6 to 11 a.m. weekdays. Fantastic.
Opinion poll on today's quest.
More than 3 over 4 of the loots we are talking about in this country today were loots within the 16 years.
Here is a great opportunity to sample all our opinions on the issues raised.
Amin Patakat says the PDP is trying to divert our attention because Nigerian funds was looted by the PDP. Melody in Uniport says Madam Jonah is yet to come in terms of the fact that her tenure has expired. Annie, please tell him that investigation is not what you make public until the final stage.
Send your opinion to us on Facebook,
www.facebook.com/Today95.1 FM.
or on Twitter @TodayFM951. You can also sample your opinions with us on WhatsApp or on our SMS portal using the numbers 070-1933-9962. It's 23 minutes after 10 and you're listening to Today 95.1 FM, and we're moving on to another part of our opinion poll. We've been talking banishment and dethronement and the legality behind the banishment and what Sanusi's lawyers are saying concerning that. And I think that conversation generally took us to traditional institutions and her rules and how that plays out with us, this civilization, and the roles courts get to play in this, and whether indeed we're criminal minded in some of his actions. So thanks to Daniel Momo. Yes, you're a criminal for you to take that position. So we'll definitely be looking forward to your thoughts on this particular issue. And then let's move on to another that we had, shall I say, pinpointed that we'll be looking at later, and that had to do with I think that was the one Afe Babalola, right? Politics as no, that was from Rotimi Fasan. Let me see if I find the story from Afe Babalola. I hope I do still have it here. Yes, because we're looking at Nigeria as a rich nation. In any ways, I'm trying to get the story so that I can give a background to why we're taking this line of conversation. So why I'm still looking for the story, I might as well just dig into what I can from my heart. A few days back, I think it was in the news when a certain government official was talking on whether we were a wealthy nation. We'd like to say oil wealthy nation and oil wealthy Nigeria, and the oil money is everywhere, and how we would want to refer ourselves to the likes of Saudi Arabia and Dubai and other nations who also enjoy this God-given mineral. And he was debunking that claim that we cannot equate ourselves on that sort of pedestal. First of all, you've got to look at the amount of the crude oil that they mine. How much of that are they able to do? Millions of barrels per day. And they also are able to refine same. So you're not exporting crude to import refined product. You're refining it right there in your country. And then you have the population. In some places, it's 30 million, some even less than. And in some places, 50. And then you have millions of barrels per day. And then you also look at Nigeria, where we barely get to 2 million barrels per day. And then you have a population of almost 200 million. And if you look at that, we cannot actually call ourselves a wealthy nation. We should actually understand that we are poor. Now, I read something earlier. Funny enough, this conversation is coming up. I had posted sometime on social media in the year 2016 something that the former emir had said, and that's Sanusi Lamido Sanusi. He says, if you really reflect on the problems of this country, it seems to turn common sense on its head. You sometimes wonder if anyone needs to tell any group of people that if you are a poor country, you do not need 36 governors, 36 deputy governors, with members of houses of assemblies, commissioners and advisors, special assistants, a president, a vice president, 36 ministers, special advisors, federal legislature, and so on. Simple arithmetic would tell you that if you have that structure, you are first of all doomed to spending 80 to 90% of everything you earn maintaining public offices. It is really common sense, but it seems to be a problem for us to understand it. And earlier, what we read, Afe Babalola was speaking on how it is easy to manipulate the judiciary because of their poor take-home package, that their remunerations were so poor that some judges all the way to the Supreme Court were probably taking just about 290,000 naira as basic salary for the month. And that with this sort of situation where some of them can't own homes, can't own their own vehicles, that there is every opportunity and every instance available for them to be manipulated by the system. First, by the government officials who perhaps may have a case, and because they hold the yam and the knife, they can manipulate the judges to give judgments to favor them. And that because also the judge has found himself homeless and has to rent perhaps an apartment, he might have to play to his landlord. And he gave several instances, obviously tying it up to how poorly remunerated the judiciary staff were. And at that point was when I needed to question our thoughts about Nigeria. Do we see ourselves? Because I also want to know that there are very poor nations across the world that perhaps pay that amount of money to their judicial staff. There are perhaps very poor nations who also give about the same or even less to the people working for them in the judiciary and in other arms of government, in the legislative, in the executive. They don't get to take so much. So are we confused here? Or do we live in a dream? Or is it for certain that we are indeed a wealthy nation? Wealthy now not because we're looking at future untapped resources, but wealthy that as it is now, we make far and above the amount of money that is needed to keep us on that comfort level. Are we able to say, you have ASU, who is also dragging issues with certain monies that the federal government has not funded her with. You have the issue of government saying we want to even be able to tap into what we're giving you, and that means we'll put you on a system so we can see where our money is going, because we really don't have that kind of money. All these issues for me boils down to the fact that we seem to think there's a huge pie and each can get a piece. And the circumstances, as I see it, depicts that there isn't really that big pie. It's an illusion. And the sooner we realize that we don't have that pie, we might begin to cut our coat according to our pie, maybe. So, Emmanuel, let me start with you here. When we say Nigeria is a wealthy nation, and please, I know that there are untapped wealth. Yes, that aside, let's leave that. But when we say wealthy nation, I'm talking about as we are now. We're a wealthy nation and we have enough money to fend for our problems. Perhaps what we just have is a few people who are misappropriating it.
Well, for me, I believe Nigeria is not a wealthy nation. That's my belief, and very strong at that, because first, if you start from the budget we make, how much do we make for the entire nation in a year? And the budget we make, if anything should touch the benchmark crude, we'll run into a problem. We'll start calling, as it is now, for maybe a cut in the budget so that we can also prepare, tinker with the already prepared budget and send again to the National Assembly and all the rest of them. Again, oftentimes you hear people will tell you what universities in other nations, other developed nations, budget in a year. Our own budget, national budget, cannot go maybe even a quarter of what that university or those universities budget. Again, look at perhaps somebody will be saying, yes, there are a few individuals that pilfer the funds we have and all that. As a result, you see them, their pockets lined up heavily. And then you said we are having money. No, we don't, because if you check the infrastructural development of this country, where have we reached to agree that truly Nigeria has money and so we are wealthy? We don't. Now, also check the oil that seems to be carrying us. How many barrels do we sell a day? The fact remains that, in fact, if you start counting it, look at the civil service and look at the, let's say, the legislative chambers. That is where, on political line, we showcase affluence. Now, if you remove the legislative chambers, Alpha Babalola just wrote to perhaps give us a peep into what is happening in the judiciary. Now, that means it is the legislatures that are cutting out the money. If anything we are hearing is something we can go with. Now, when you check all these things, you only find out that we are not a wealthy nation. The reason is simple, that the much we get as those who are getting oil, because if you check diversification, we've not gone through. So the money, more or less, is concentrated on the oil and what could be used to develop it. We are still even in this oil, teetering to make sure that we find our feet. Yet, we can indeed measure up with other recognized oil-producing areas. The reason is that, plus the corruption that comes in, because this little we have, some individuals will corner it. And when you see them, what they are having individually, you are able to say, there's much money in this nation, but it's only that people are the ones who are corrupt, who are taking it. But like I asked, what is the amount budgeted for a year? That is how those who are rich are known. If you check our military, what advancement exists in our military? Check our transportation. Check our water resources. Where is it? You can't even say the water resources that particularly I mentioned now is maybe at its embryonic stage. But these are things that around the world that show that yes, these people have gone out from the level that they are not civilized and all that. They can be called civilized. Civilization is driven by money, wealth. How developed? Now take our roads. Not everything you put together will show you that we don't have any much wealth. It's not that we have. Because when you check, yes, we are blessed by God. That is God's blessing. It's in the bowels of the ground. Untapped. Do you count what you have not generated, transformed, and generated funds from as wealth? No. So, for me, the physical ones we've been able to achieve and all that, we are not a wealthy nation.
All right, we've got your thoughts. Obijima.
Yes, we had a little of the discussion before now during the paper review. Yes, Nigeria is a wealthy nation. You know, there's a difference between a wealthy nation and a rich nation. If you put our resources together, that makes Nigeria a wealthy nation. But it may not be a rich nation.
Like I insisted earlier on, let's leave the issue of resources, especially the ones that are untapped.
Yeah, that
the ones
makes
that are untapped.
Yes.
So keep that away. Keep
Now,
that outside of that.
We'll now begin to use the word rich. Is Nigeria a rich nation? No. Based on some economic indicators. What is the level of our per capita income? What is the level of our foreign reserve? What is our GDP growth? The human index perceptions and all those things, they are low. And that's what takes it off from us that we're a poor nation. In the midst of wealth, we're a poor nation. Now, what precipitated this problem is the problem of what we call the Dutch disease that plagues most countries that discover this soil. It happened in Norway. But at a point, Norway had to restructure its economic structure to come out of that Dutch disease. And today, the sovereign wealth of Norway is something quite unimaginable. But it's not the same thing with Venezuela, which is also an oil-producing nation that has also allowed this Dutch disease to plague it to the point of destruction now. But had the Arab nations managed to a kind of hold forth with this very wet oil and making their people to also feel the impact, even if the ruling class may enjoy a large chunk of it. But if you go to those places like Dubai, if you hear the account of what is going on in Dubai, it's a very hot place. But yet, they provide like what Libya under Gaddafi did. You know, any graduate that is coming out to have a house. There was that massive housing policy in Libya those days. So also is what is going on in Dubai today. That even a driver must live in an air-conditioned house to mitigate the kind of high temperature. They provide this thing for their citizens. And that's why we categorize this very nations as rich nations. Now, here, we don't take into consideration even our growing population. Our leaders don't even know that the population is growing. And whatever you are getting, you are not matching it with the population growth. It will create high level of unemployment when you are not putting certain things in place that will generate employment. It will create high unemployment, poverty, malnutrition. And the resultant effect is that what we are seeing today, people now going to kidnapping, to all manner of things to ensure that they also survive. So, for the judiciary, I don't want to talk of what they are taking, Esther code and all those things. I want to base on their salary because once they retire, the Esther code will not be coming. Will not be coming. And what are you going to take as pension every month? Are you going to really survive on that peanut? These other allowances, enjoy it as long as you are in that office. You enjoy it as long as you are in that office. Like when I was working in the bank, We used to have even tea allowance. You know, but the main salary is a far cry. When you from those tea allowance, housing allowance, transport allowance, it makes the banker salary so huge. But the point is that when you retire, when you will not be having that tea allowance and all those things, you fall back to a peanut that cannot sustain your life. We're not like other countries that take care of their senior citizens, elders, as they are aging. The society takes care of them. But not like that country. Here is that you take care of yourself. When once you leave service, the pension is not even coming regularly. And that is why the recourse to try to also get something that they will put that will take care of them in future, and that makes the judicial officer to fall under pressure of, you know, when they approach with huge money, they pervert justice. The Bible says that he that takes bribe is blinded and can pervert justice. You know, so these are the problems. Now, the economic structure of Nigeria must be restructured if we are to benefit from the wealth of this nation. I'm talking of every citizen of this country. And put up some legal framework, some economic plan that will run this thing through. Time there was in this country when regions were competing before this centralized resources we have today. Every resource in this country is centralized. So whatever that comes, they dispense it anyhow. That time the country was moving in the late 50s, in the early 60s. The regions were controlling their resources. And people, in fact, even that time, it's a proud thing to be a teacher, to be called a teacher. And you have to live in teachers' quarters. In primary school, we had teachers' quarters. They lived there. A headmaster was respected in the community. And this salary was enough for him to even train his children. But today, what is the case? All those things are gone.
We've got far more people pursuing just very little naira these days.
Yeah, because of the structure we have.
All right. Okay. We got your thoughts on Bitima. Bitima, let me get to Daniel Momo.
Yes, Annie, from your question whether Nigeria is a wealthy nation, from every indices of a wealthy nation, we are not. We are not a wealthy nation. We are just an average country trying to survive in the midst of the plenty resources that we have. The indices such as the quality of education, the quality of healthcare, the life expectancy ratio, the human capital development, name it. We don't have it. We are not a wealthy nation. We're just an average nation trying to survive in the midst of the plenty resources that we have. Now, having said that, in relation to now what Afeba Balola said regarding the fact that, because while I was coming, I had my earpiece, I was listening to you, where he said, imagine a judge entering a public transport, and as he was about paying, somebody said, my lord, sir, I have paid for your transport. So he was trying to create a picture for us to see how pathetic it is, which goes to also confirm that we are not a wealthy nation. Now, in relation to that, my opinion about whether that will now tie the hands of a judge to decide otherwise. And then while we were discussing about the other issue of the banishment of Sanusi, and I asked that, who is then an upright man. From the judiciary to the executive to the civil servant to private individuals, and he was trying to tell you this is how much they get, 200 and I said no, I don't agree. And I started with the quote that my mom used to say that the granite shell, if you put food on it and people eat from it, those who will be satisfied will be satisfied, and those who will never be satisfied will never be satisfied. In other words, a criminally minded person is a criminal. There's nothing you are going to give to him. Even if you give the whole world to him, he still find a way of getting other things illegally to put to that. And then Justice Oguta, is it Oguta his name? Oguta. When he was arrested by the DSS, and then he was forced to, in fact, the DSS had to, the EFCC had to publish certain things, and then he came back to say, this is because the millions were seen euro, pounds, dollars, and he said these were some of the monies that were paid to him as Esther Code. Now, from what Mr. Obidima was saying, to the layman, it doesn't matter whether a basic salary or no basic salary. At the end of the month, what is the take-home pay? The take-home pay is what I calculate. It's not what the basic. The basic is your grammar at your place of work. But at the end of the day, the monies that enter into your account. So from what I saw in Justice Oguta, except maybe it's just Justice Oguta alone who is doing that, or who the arm of government has actually favored. But from what he posted, I don't see any judge as a poor man. No judge, especially at the Supreme Court level, as a poor person. With the millions of pounds, of euro, of dollars
that he had.
And he claimed that these things were paid to him by the government. So what Afe Babalola is saying is clearly different from what Justice Oguta said. And then the remuneration, Annie, I think for me, it cut across the Nigerian space. And we're arguing the other time here about it. How much is it now? 33 or 30,000 that has been increased. And it should cut across board. And my submission was that we are not a wealthy nation. We're just an average country. And so it should also affect whether you're in the judiciary, whether you are in the executive. And Mr. Emma raised a point that time that the amount of money that our legislatures have. And I said in clear terms, how much? Because when we try to create and make it look like the legislatures are the one taking the whole of the bulk of the money in this country. How much is the budget? How much is their budget? And what is the ratio? What is the percentage? It's just less than 1% of the total budget of the National Assembly in relation to the budget of the country. Just a little close to about 1%. And so that is the problem of Nigeria. That's not the problem of Nigeria. We should begin to now see and tell ourselves certain truths, because I also read in a paper where they said the legislators were raising alarm that the coronavirus thing is not.
Yeah, so they were shut down for 2 weeks.
So no, this one is that they are raising alarm to the executive now.
Okay.
So they should get some changes to do. And so as a nation that is just an average country, we should begin to start from them to then say, okay, maybe because of your renovation money, is it not 36 billion they want to use to renovate the National Assembly? We can say, okay, because of the coronavirus thing, let's put that aside. The cars that you want to buy, still manage those ones that you still have. Why we still battle this issue of the coronavirus? But in all, Annie, we are just an average country trying to survive in the midst of plenty.
All right, I've got your thoughts there. Choco Choma?
Like they called you from a distance.
It's like where Mama call you. Well, I answered like in that manner because I felt virtually all the things I have in mind have been expressed by my colleagues. But I also do know that there are people who expect to hear it from my own tone and voice. So in view of that, I shall do justice in my own little way. You see, I must state categorically that the view expressed by my brother Daniel, it's a perfect one, and I'm in agreement with his position. Yes. If you look at it in the first place, the indices. I called a friend of mine recently from Italy. He used to be a taxi driver here in Port Harcourt. My neighbor, as a matter of fact, a taxi driver to the core. I was giving him money to buy things, even as a law student. He smuggled himself through Italy, through Libya, Ghana, Libya, and then called me. I've arrived. He got to Italy. I was waiting to hear maybe how the system is. The next thing I saw, after he in fact, let me tell you, he traveled to Italy 2014. By that year, I was in law school. By 2015, I bought him a plot of land somewhere in Port Harcourt, 3 million naira. I was like, if I had known, I would have joined him. As I speak with you today, the young man has built on that land, built another upstairs there, and he called me recently to say, please look for a land, so place. I want to buy a land and build a filling station. So you begin to consider what is really wrong with where I am or where we are. But apart from the financial outstanding of these nations that cannot be compared to Nigeria, as a matter of fact, he also told me something that is striking. He said, do you know that where you are not proud of your life for one day, but where I am, I can tell you in all sincerity and honesty that I cannot die in the next 30 years. He told me. He also told me that where he is, he's not thinking of how to build because government has already done that. Even consider he's smuggled. He's not a legitimate person there. But this guy has security as to property, has security as to life, and even has security as to food. So when you place them side by side with where we are, you know that.
Do you think Nigeria has the money to do all of that?
In all honesty, we have the money. We have the money. We even have it more than these nations that are doing better and greater than us.
That's the answer. That is what we're looking at, really.
It is
we're
a
looking
question
at whether
of
we
management.
have that money to do all these things that you really.
Annie,
that same country, like somebody mentioned budget here. Who was that? Who mentioned budget?
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look at what this country's budget for these amenities and these things that they have, this what we do here, and in some cases, we have to.
We start borrowing to fund budget.
We have to even go back and slash because the dollar is the oil is now almost $30 per barrel. So let's go back and refigure what we put out there as our proposal or the budget. It's not even a proposal; it has been passed into law as our budget. I think these are the indices that you look at when you're looking at the money available. Obviously, we know that there is a huge siphoning system.
That is what is affecting us.
We agree. We agree that is there. But we're also saying, even if all that money did come in, and then you have people who are earning 270,000 naira basic for a month, and they're saying that's not enough.
Yes.
And you have people who are earning 300 perhaps, and they're saying that's not enough. And then you have, so really, where is that money supposed to come from? How much are you supposed to pay this group of people that will be okay? Are we setting our eyes on too far a picture, so to say, and not understanding our present reality that maybe we're not as wealthy as we think we are, and that we should not be driving 2 cars, that we should not even drive 1 car, because our reality means that we eat just once a day. This is what I'm trying to look at.
I sincerely appreciate what you're saying, but when Ogima was analyzing this issue, there was something he mentioned. He said, if I got you clearly, that part of our major problem is having a particular individual having more than they ought to have. It is what is affecting us. Do you know that recently I heard that, for instance, that the president does not use a spoon twice?
Which president?
For Muhammad Buhari, we do not have another. Why? I was asking, I heard it, that it is also calculated in the budget.
Is he having corona?
That is the question I kept asking. Now you look at the governor, most of them cannot wear one cloth twice. Is
they don't even remember to
They
wear
don't even remember. And I keep asking, me as a person, I can wear my clothes more than 10 times, it is still as fresh as it were. Then a governor wears one cloth once, forever and ever, that ends it.
So
it's
good.
unnecessary.
Now that lifestyle,
It affects
that lifestyle again,
it affects
depicts a lifestyle
of a rich nation.
Of a rich nation.
It depicts the lifestyle
of a poor person.
No,
it's of a poor person.
I think the mentality is poor there, but the reason why they would do that is because they think that
they are seeing the money.
It depicts a lifestyle of a rich person, but how many?
Few. How many? Few
individuals.
I will agree with him. It has to do with the nation is naturally blessed. We are naturally. If you look at the natural resources we have, it cannot be equated with what we have in other countries. We have virtually everything God has given us in abundance. But the management is another thing. And what is the problem with the management? The inability of these persons that are the helm of affairs to channel the money in the right sources. Now we tend to appropriate whatever thing we have to personal pocket. How many times we've heard they want to build refinery? They want to build refinery. They are still in one. That thing will still be used in another campaign. Another political party will still use it to deceive us. They want to build light. We will still use it to vote for them. No problem. We have no problem with that. Nobody can challenge them. No problem. It is our problem. But let me say in all sincerity, the judge, if as a lawyer speak with authority, is being paid well. You see, that was the reason I said I agree with you. It is a question of character. I have a younger sister who is a magistrate, recently employed. I met her, I said, now, as a lawyer, I have appeared before certain magistrates. Please, I tell you the truth, if I appear before you and I get a resemblance of what I meet in this court, I will never appear before you again. As a young lawyer, there are magistrates I don't even appear before them. Give me matters. Once they assign it, I send other lawyers. I won't go. Because
Why?
I will not be allowed to assume that legal inclination that is in me. I will be made to feel a different thing. And what is it? That I can pay money to get justice. So a magistrate, a judge that is corrupt, pay him 1 billion, we still want an aside. We still want extra. That is the problem. Let me tell you, the judge is not doing more job than the teacher. The teacher does not have a vehicle provided for him. But the judge drives a car that is equivalent to that of the governor. And yet he still wants extra salary. He is not buying it with his money.
That's in River State.
What is well,
and the federal
judges,
and
you not see the Land Cruiser they are driving? At times I look at, I will sit by the window side of the court. I will be looking at the beauty of these vehicles. I will tell you the truth. I will be wishing myself to have one. So you are telling me because you are my brother. If there is a particular federal high court judge in Port Harcourt here. See, nobody goes there and mess up. Before you appear before him, you must have prepared. And anytime I'm appearing before that judge, I read my book very well because I know that I'm appearing before a court of law. The man does not take your money. One day he gave us a tutorial. He said he eats onion in the morning, onion in the afternoon, and then in the night he can take any light food. He has his farm. From the proceeds of his salary, he built a farm for himself. He has a cow, goats, and other agricultural produce that he does. He does virtually everything for himself. But there are judges who have high taste. You want to live where you have not worked for. So why will you not want extra money? Why will you not be corrupt? But this is an oath you have taken. Annie, I will tell you the truth. Those people that are sitting there demanding for more money are not doing better job than you are doing. But you are determined to do this job because you have the passion to do it. And you are contented with what you have. It is a question of contentment. Those judges who are demanding for more are greedy, with due respect.
You see, and while Abidima was talking, more concentrated on the potentials of Nigeria. And that's not what we are talking about. You see, for now, we are talking about the physical wealth we are counting. We are talking about physically what Nigeria is. Even though there's mismanagement, that's not the issue. But can Nigeria do certain things that wealthy nations can boast of and do it physically? What is the maybe the budget of America, UK, and some other nations? So for me, Nigeria is poor as it were. Forget about what Daniel said. Manageable.
We might not even take the whole of US. Maybe you might just want to look at some of the
States.
states.
No, thank you very much.
You might want to look at some of the states in the United States.
Something very funny happened. Sorry,
yeah, I'll
sir.
get to you, Obidiman. Just a moment.
I was in the class somewhere in France, and then my first day in the class, and the man was, we're introducing ourselves, from different nations. And then when I got to my name and I said Nigeria, the man was surprised. Wow, Nigeria, you people have hot. He walked down to where I was, shook my hand.
Shake your hand. Shake your hand.
He
You
was
have oil.
Oil.
Oh my God.
But in my mind, I was just thinking, what is this man? has this man been to Nigeria before?
I see
And because just few meters away from where I take those lectures, there's a place where I do some cleaning. This man will just put me on the spot that if these people see me,
They say
cleaning,
the oil man.
The oil magnet.
The oil is really here.
So that is what they believe. That he was even mentioning to me that, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, that he was using Air France, that they've been using old aircraft. That I know that Emirates bought in the whole world. Emirates bought 11 of them. It was oil. He said, oil. I was just saying,
If only he knew. If only he knew.
I try to differentiate words.
Let's not go to speculations of differentiating of when
It's important.
Obidima, everybody understands what we're talking about here. So let's not go to the semantics of wealth or richness.
Because
let's get to the meat of the issue.
Is it a man?
No, hold on. I really don't think that we should go back to talking about whether this is wealth or this is rich.
Yes.
If we all understood what we're trying to premise our argument on, then leave the narratives of what wealth is and what rich is, and let's just get your position.
Well, I wanted to clarify that area because it is still very important. That is the measurement. Very important. Nigeria, as it is today, cannot say that it's a rich nation because over 90-something million of Nigerians are poor, including those who even have PhD. If you tell you that some of them are not even engaged, some are not engaged in the systems. But here, NUC make it compulsory that every lecturer must have PhD. But those that have even gotten the PhD are not engaged. So we have an oil that we don't have a refinery to even process them. Have that kind of refinery to process, how do we get even money? Yes, money is coming. Like what I said earlier, that the economic structure of this nation is very poor. The extant laws, both the constitution, they are so poor that makes this money to just concentrate in the hands of the few. The other day, we had that Bayelsa government, the Bayelsa House of Assembly approved 20-something billion, 22-something billion for the government to buy vehicles.
2.9 billion. 2.9 billion.
Okay, 2.9 billion to buy vehicles.
It's too much.
And you go to Bayelsa.
No employment.
When you go to Bayelsa, salaries are not paid. Pensioners are not receiving their pensions. But you go and buy this thing, and the society cannot rise against it because that's what the law.
All right.
Thank you.
That's what the law are put in place.
Okay. All right. I pretty much a lot of sense then in what you agree that the structure that we have has continually kept us in this position that we are. But you see, my biggest problem is that a lot of us don't even realize that we are poor. Whether it's the structure that has kept us in that system or the leaders, but understanding that you reside in a poor nation
and therefore you have to abide by or live by the certain dictates of a poor nation or poverty in that sense. You know, I this is not to cut on and the drive the average Nigerian man has. I like that. I like that you drive for a bright future. You want to be able to afford this and that and that. But again, we move with the mentality of I don't know, is it, should I say, mentality of wealth and this aura that doesn't allow us understand where we are for the now and behave in accordance with that. I'll quickly see if I give an example. This will help us a bit. In one of the neighboring African countries that been to, I had the opportunity to meet a certain legislator, and his house was very modest. He didn't have a high gate. I understand the high gate is for security, but he didn't have a high gate around his house. In fact, from the other side, you'll see what's going on with the 2 cars he's parked and his kids. And he's the legislator in the National Assembly. It wasn't even where you have in this. No, he wasn't. And before then, prior to then, this businessman, he's done politics and all of that. Similar things you see that I can equate to somebody in the Nigerian category here. You know how that person want to lead, to have the kind of cars this gentleman had. The SUV said to the SUV, and his clothes. There wasn't this to his clothes. He was wearing batik, I think I saw, with plain pants. And till I left, because we just stayed opposite his house. Till I left, when I saw they're driving wife and kids, they did have that, there was nothing flamboyant about their dressing, and the need to have certain details attached to them was not so necessary too. And in most of that area too, it was something I saw that people just lived within a certain means. And these people still had ambition. They were still driving for a better tomorrow. They still wanted to be able to UK for holidays if they can afford it. Yeah. But they understood that getting there, I must appreciate where I am now, and this is who. Then there was no shame in accepting that now I can't afford to eat 3 times. I can afford twice, and it is okay. I'm contented in that. But I'm aspiring to get to that point where I can eat 3 times and afford to even throw a 4th one if possible. And I think that here in Nigeria, somehow we just think there's so much money. I don't know, maybe say with when we had, who was it that said the problem of Nigeria is money and how to spend it? Maybe we should all go back and meet him. Maybe after that notion, everybody just believes there's so much money in Nigeria, and what we don't know how to do is how to spend it. So look, do everything you can. There's money in. I agree. There are untapped resources that will bring money. Simple. Yes, there are too many to even start to enumerate now. But then, why do we go on with that action or character as if we already have money or we're sitting on money? I agree that we have just about 1% of the people here in Nigeria who have put their straws into the Nigerian in fact, their straws are in the oil well, sucking up all the money that's possibly coming out from there. And then we look at them and then want to be like them. I look at them and they're holidaying in Paris, they're doing summer somewhere. That is not our reality. A reality of a 1%. Good. The reality of 90% can't afford to do that. And even if that money from that 1% was to be shared to the remaining 90, we still will not be able to leave that town.